and or watching to the Black Eagles podcast, a Beşiktaş talk show.
Ahmet Dursun Sergen aldı. Sergen Bülent yan yana. Sergen Bülent. Sergen. Yanında Tümer var. Tümer'e doğru aksın kaybetti. Tümer topu aldı. Sergen aldı. Gol! Gol! Gol! Sergen attı. Sergen attı. Şampiyonluk geldi. Sergen attı. Şampiyonluk geldi.
İbrahim'in pası. Yuma. Şimdi Ahmet. İkinci gole gidiyor Beşiktaş. Ahmet. Ve
Hello, Black Eagles. Welcome back to the Black Eagles podcast. Sorry for the delay. It was cutting it way too
Apologies.
short with 15 minutes to spare to get everything done. You know what? I can still think of something I haven't done yet. So do not throw to the stats straight away, Sinan. I have to fill those in still.
Oh, don't worry. We have a ways to go till then.
Yeah. Anyway, we're coming off of our second UEFA Conference League qualifier against our opponent St. Patrick's, and they put up a really good fight, I thought, and they deservedly, I would say, deservedly, they made it difficult for us for sure. And I think the fans from St. Patrick's, and I hope we can welcome some of them tonight in the chat. Maybe even some of them that were in attendance in the game to share their experiences. But I think they had a fun night. I think the night for us was a little less fun. Maybe I wouldn't say it was super stressful, guys, because with the 4-1 away.
For some, apparently it was.
Well, but with the 4-1 away win, I think we were all really pretty comfortable, and we knew even at 2-0, okay, as soon as we get a goal, no problem. But it's more, I think, the way we started the game, very nonchalantly, conceding a sloppy penalty. And then even after the penalty, on one part of me understands that they didn't go panic mode or start going, gung-ho forward. I understand that. You kind of have to take it as, okay, it's still 0-0 because you have such a big lead from the away game. But I did miss a sense of urgency. I am going to skip the introductions for now. I'm just going to get straight into it. Guys, who wants to start with your initial thoughts on that opening 30 minutes or so?
I'll let Siran take the
Oh, yeah, okay. I guess it's me. Yeah, happily. No, it's funny because I was, I had my head in the books as, with my pen, with all the colors, my red pen. And so I totally wasn't a part of the group chat during the match, and I tend not to be just in case I'm on a lag or whatever.
Yeah.
But so, I didn't see the panic that was going on in the group chat. People were really going at it. I saw, I obviously I can't think of a worse start, and you don't really want to rag on anyone too much, right? People do stupid things all the time. It was, I thought, and I think, Colin, you said the same, I thought it came up off his leg into his arm, and I was like, you can't call that. But then apparently, people, I actually didn't see the super close-up or whatever, but, people are saying that that's not the case, that it went straight into his arm.
Yeah, I think it did go into his arm after seeing the initial replay. I thought, well, that's coming off his leg first, right? That's not a penalty. And then I would kind of, but then they zoomed, and I was like, okay, I think it may just hit his arm. And honestly, it's a little disappointing from a 35-year-old veteran like Paulista. This is the second time he gives a penalty away in Europe. If you remember last season against Eintracht Frankfurt, which was a much more important penalty, I think, to give away. But
for sure,
you'd expect him not to make silly mistakes like that, right?
Well, and what's even more a shame, to round things out, was he played a pretty bad role in the second goal. And to be fair, so what happens there, again, a set piece, which, talk about a theme from last season we were hoping not to see. And I think, to be fair, with Ndidi, we'll have a presence there that we don't have yet. He was in the stands, so shouts to him for being there. Hope he's not too discouraged by what he saw. But no, I think we showed a lot of the sort of weirdness that we were showing last season. Svensson was on like wide right, and everyone was telling him to go further. There was a guy that was unmarked. He didn't notice that there was a guy beyond the guy, so he was like kind of in a physical duel with one guy. And perhaps, I mean, he's not a physically imposing dude. He's pretty short. Maybe he didn't see over that. Like, maybe he thought he had the wide guy, and so he was doing what they were instructing. But so there was a guy left completely unmarked. But so everyone kind of scrambles back because of that. And then, unfortunately, again, Paulista flicks the ball back with a weird touch. Again, like, it's not for lack of effort, and there's obviously a lot of bad luck in it. You kind of hope that just goes out of bounds or something, and obviously it went the wrong way off his boot, and then falls back into play. And then I'm afraid Jurasek will get a lot of blame for this, but I don't think really at that point, like the table was set for their goal.
Jurasek? I thought he was the
because he was covering the man at the far post who headed it.
No,
but he was like,
Emirhan.
I mean, he was caught off guard.
Pretty sure that was Emirhan.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it's Emirhan who loses the header at the far post. Yeah.
I thought Emirhan was far post, but Jurasek was on the guy. I mean, either way, point being, though, it was a scramble at that point anyway. And, the damage was already done because that dude was left unmarked, and then because the Paulista. So it's like two bits of bad luck. I mean, I guess the first one's not bad luck. That's sort of poor play or whatever. But at the end of the day, at that point, people seem to be really panicking, and for good reason, obviously. Like, we're playing a team like St. Patrick's at home. They should be completely outclassed and, playing in front of like 4 times more fans than they probably ever played in front of before. 5 times, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a math guy.
I'm sure they've played in front of big crowds before. But
I mean, I don't know. I mean, are they on the national team? Perhaps that's the case.
But what's important, I think, is we say, okay, bad luck, but I think you have to give St. Patrick's credit because they they come out the gate with a lot of intent, because that first goal, the penalty, results out of a very dangerous attack from kickoff, essentially. They clearly had a plan, prepared for that. And then I also think on the set piece, yes, our players are caught napping, but that's again something they clearly were intending. That was a drilled training routine. So I think you have to give credit to St. Patrick's for both those goals, even though I think both goals were sandwiched by a lot of nothing from their part. I don't really recall anything too dangerous from them, and I think we were.
They had 2 shots on target, I think.
Yeah,
and 2 goals.
I think we were in control, but it wasn't good though, Cartel. Right? Like, we were in control, but with a lack of intent, I would say. How did you see the first half hour?
It was very pedestrian, man. Obviously, we had the ball. We finished the game with 70% passing, but it was a lot of sideways passing. We weren't playing vertically enough. Didn't really create many chances. The only chance I can really think of in the first half was Tammy before the goal was Tammy's header.
Yeah.
I think Demir Ege might have had a chance to be in a chance, but his touch was off, I think. Other than that, up until the goal, we didn't have anything.
There's a few moments, I think that chance for Tammy was really good. I thought it was a really good cross from Kenny.
Good cross from Kenny.
And a good header, good header too, but the goalkeeper did a good job to reading it and was in the right position. But then I don't know if you guys noticed, but like right after the Arroyo cross to Tammy, there's a moment on the left wing where Rashica has the opportunity to cross it, and it's so night and day. Where Kenny's cross was inch perfect, like just with a paintbrush put on the head of Tammy, and then like the Rashica cross goes over both Tammy first and then Kenny at the far post, and that's it just illustrates, I think, the lack of. And I didn't even think Rashica was bad today, by the way. But I was
gonna say I don't even think he played that poorly. But like, and in part he didn't play that poorly because he took very few crosses. But every cross he did try was terrible. Like, not a single one of them came close to where you would have wanted to go. I think he's probably like 0 for 4 maybe. But luckily he only tried 4, so that was in our favor.
Another position where Orkun gave a beautiful ball to Rashica, and all Rashica had to do was lay it off to someone, and he just passed it straight to the St. Patrick's defender.
Yeah, that was pathetic.
But he played. I'd say no one really played that well, man. But I think Rashica was okay.
I thought Tammy was good.
Tammy was good. Kartal Kaida was good. I thought Kartal.
A goal and assist for Tammy. Obviously, he gets pass marks based off of that. It was a brilliant finish, man, and obviously he assisted.
Demir Ege's
assisted the first goal as well. The first goal as well.
Yeah, exactly. And also, there was one more chance that you're forgetting about, Kartal. There was that pass where I think Rasica slipped Tammy through, and he quickly turned and he shot straight away.
Shot was blocked.
But the shot was blocked very well, by the way, by, I think it was McLaughlin. Excellent block from him. But that was also good, I think. That was one of the few moments where I thought Rasica actually did well offensively. But all in all, I didn't think he played a terrible game, Rasica. But,
Yeah. Even Tammy with the goal and the assist, I don't think it was like a performance to write home about, but it was good enough, man. It was decent.
Really? I don't know. I thought
he done what he had to do. He done what he had to do, man. It was a great finish. It was a nice layoff to Demir Ege, but I wouldn't say he had like I didn't feel like he had an impact all throughout the game, but obviously he gets pass marks still.
Well, I think
João Mário.
I don't agree with that he didn't have an impact, because I think you can clearly see that. I mean, obviously he had an impact at the goal and an assist, but also he was the main source of danger, and he was a handful for them the entire 60 or so minutes that he played. And then as soon as he comes off, you see the dynamic of the team completely shift and change. Where one of the things I found very frustrating, guys, is in the first half, we obviously tried to cross the ball into the box into Tammy. But when Tammy comes off, we continued to try crosses, especially, for example, Rasica, we were talking about that. Like, those are remember last season when I was talking like the blind crosses that were irritating me from Masuaku and from Rasica, where they just, they're on the wing and they're like, okay, I just need to try and create a little bit of separation, and I'm just gonna cross the ball to nobody and my job is done. It's somebody else's job to get on the end of it. But like these are aimless crosses without anyone present in the box, and that I think illustrates as well one of the big deficiencies in the team. Obviously, Mustafa Hekimoğlu had to come off injured right after he came on, essentially, so that left us without a striker. But it really showcases the poverty in squad depth, the fact that we don't have a decent backup striker. And that's really going to cost us this season, because Tammy's not always going to be able to play 90. He might get, God forbid, injured, or he gets a suspension, or just fatigue and needs to be rested. We really, really, really need that second striker. And that was illustrated once again, I think, with being a problem. I was surprised we got the win in the end, because once we were without Tammy, I kind of felt like, I guess Ole is okay with the draw. We got the quick equalizer, and it's like, it's not like we need to win this. But honestly, guys,
I think we had to win it.
I think so too. Like on paper, we didn't
honestly,
have to. But Ole's
I
fate
think
was on a
João Mário
silk
was
thread
really
there for a moment, right? Like 50 odd minutes. I think Ole's fate was on a silk thread, guys.
Yeah, probably.
A lot of people are asking for his resignation on social media.
The group chat was certainly in that department for a while. First of all, I want to say I wore a green undershirt. You can barely see it. It's kind of light green.
Yeah,
but
I didn't.
In honor of our.
I didn't put on a shirt, man. It's way too hot here. I know. I was already stressed getting us online on time, which I didn't manage to do. But so I've got this here. It's a little memento from my dad.
There you go.
Don't know if you can see
but I wore the green undershirt in honor of our Irish opponents, who I thought had every reason to basically quit. They're playing in front of all those fans. And they came out with a lot of fight, like right out of the gates. They were obviously gunning for it, and
they had nothing to lose, right? And it's a massive opportunity for all these kids. I don't know if you saw the interviews. Like I think yesterday they did like some interviews with Kazim, their left back, I think. And the way they were talking, you could tell that this meant a lot for the players. For those players to have the opportunity to play in such a big stadium and such a venue against an opponent of our caliber, I suppose. I don't mean to be pompous or anything, but
not at all.
I think that's a great opportunity for those players, and they they gave it their all. And you know what? even though I think both of their goals were props to them, but also there's a certain amount of luck involved. But you have to credit their fights and their relentless nature throughout the game. Like Rafa was really ineffective for the most part, I thought, and I think that was in large part due to their aggressive defending.
Yeah, for sure.
He it was alive, I felt. On you go see that, I'll comment after.
Well, I was going to say it was a tale of night and day in the first and second half, and even especially I thought, João Mário again. When we were talking about guys who were good earlier, I think Tammy Abraham for me was in the green. Rafa Silva ended up in the green barely, but it was rough going in the first half.
The first half.
He had a good shot right before the equalizer. He had a good shot saved by the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
And honestly,
and he was doing some good link up with Tammy. They were making some nice runs that would kind of die out eventually on the wings for whatever reason. But Emirhan Topçu, I thought, ended up having a good game. He was, I think we can actually say this was his best performance at the left back. Again, the opponent isn't especially strong, so it doesn't maybe mean much.
I did not like that sub one bit, man. I have to be honest. And the Kenya Royal sub for Mucci was bad too. Bad in the sense that, it's double, I think. On one hand, I thought Kenny started off the first half really well, and he was one of our most lively players. But then, when they scored the second goal, the crowd really turned, and every misstep was starting to get cheered. And there was that one moment where Rafa slips it through to Kenny, and he blasts it towards the top left corner, and he blasts it over.
Yeah.
And the crowd just you can hear the frustration and the anger in the crowd, and I
think that's what guided Ole, I think, sadly.
I kind of think so too. I think he's he's having a decent half, but these fans, they're like a shark.
They're merciless.
Yeah, no, they're like a shark that smells blood in the water. I think he kind of took him out to protect him, but it's a shame because I think he was much more effective than Rasica in the first half. He wasn't.
I think Jurisic could potentially be done for Besiktas. I think it's going to be very hard to get winning back now. Subbing him off at half time. I don't think that was necessary at all.
I don't understand that sub either because I didn't think he wasn't bad at all.
It's just confirming the fans' notion that he's not good enough.
But I thought he was fine.
I'll say
honestly, I didn't think he did anything
wrong.
I
think perhaps
he did.
I don't know that it was.
He
made a couple little things. He was playing a little too far advanced. I think it was more tactical. And frankly, I do think that Felix Udokai came in and stabilized things on that back line in a way that perhaps it was more about getting him in the game and the idea that Emirhan was playing well enough that he didn't want to take him out. And he wanted him to be more sort of positioned defensively because, Jurisic was getting forward a little aggressively. But with that said, I think you're definitely undercutting his confidence, perhaps. Let's see what happens going forward. If he's truly
this wasn't a good game for Jurisic in the sense that he's an overlapping wingback, and with their defensive shape, 5 at the back or 3 central defenders and 2 fullbacks, wingbacks, whatever you want to call it. They were playing 5 at the back essentially. I think that really limited the amount of opportunity that Jurisic had to overlap. But there were multiple moments where he got a long ball and he had a really good first touch to bring it down. And his crosses didn't come off today, but I didn't understand the need to sub him. There
was one position he actually beat his man very nicely and got a cross in, but just the cross wasn't good.
Yeah, but also the cross wasn't good mainly because there was so many St. Pat's players in the box. There was 5.
They were crowding it, especially once they had a 2-goal lead, right?
And of course, why wouldn't they? Exactly. But it was very difficult to get through. They were, playing a lot of people behind the ball and a lot of people in the box, which in turn I think it wasn't necessarily a bad thing that we went 2 goals down, because I think we're gonna face these sorts of situations in the league as well, where we're gonna find ourselves a goal down. And we're going to have, we had this many times last season where we struggled to break down the opponent. So it wasn't necessarily bad. It was good in the training sense. But what we saw on the field wasn't great, though. We weren't very exactly effective at breaking them down. And with all due respect for St. Pat's, but, you know, like the level of opposition we're going to get in the league and the level of shithousery they're going to use to kill a game, you know, laying down after every touch, wasting lots of time, frustrating us. Like, the levels of that were nowhere near in this game, you know, like, you're not going to see that. So that's all stuff that you're going to add into games in the future in the league. And it just, once again, illustrates how much we need quality on the wings. But also, I think
and that 6, right? Like,
yes,
Demir Ege was much better in the second half. I mean, obviously the goal helped, but it was really kind of a bright spot for him amidst a pretty bad day. And I mean, it's important to note, right? Ndidi's coming, so that's sort of already settled, so people can kind of relax there. Obviously, the left wing is still hovering as far as the need goes. We have a right back now, which is intriguing. We'll get to talk about that in a little bit. Svensson also had a really poor first half, but a much better second half. I mean, I think for anyone who sort of survived the first half, it was sort of a night and day thing. I'm guessing Ole really lit into them at the half or whatever it was, because, you know, they came out a completely different side.
I was going to say,
as you'd expect.
We started the second half very well.
Yes, but it didn't last.
See, if you look at the full set, yeah, exactly. So I think a better analogy seen in was it was night in an overcasty, because there wasn't a lot of
right.
Yeah, as soon as we got the equalizer, the
when
storm
you see the
died down.
Off the gas.
Yeah,
we took the foot off the gas.
That's what it felt like. Yeah, as soon as we got the equalizer and we kind of
got
got the nervosity out of the stadium, which was important, because as soon as we equalized it, the crowds calmed down quite a bit. There wasn't any more jeering, I think, in the second half. It was fine. So we calmed
I think
the
in
crowd.
a way we were doing. I thought we might be doing some sort of diplomacy and be like, let's give them their result. They fought hard enough, and we don't really need. But then we came back and scored the goal anyway. But even the celebrations were fairly muted. So I think there was kind of a like, let's kind of like play this thing.
But see, the thing is,
there wasn't a tenacity though, for sure.
You need to be able to read the fucking room book if you're a Besiktas player. You should be able to see that this coach is under pressure, the board is under pressure, the team is under pressure. You should be wanting to absolutely destroy St. Patrick's there to get the fans off your back, get the community off your back. But I mean, Sinan, it did feel like what you were saying, but that just shows a complete lack of ability to read the room.
Yeah, I hear that. That's fair.
Well,
no, and I mean,
maybe not just that, maybe also just an inability to do it, right? Like,
yeah, I was gonna say, like, we still lack. Remember, we go into this summer, and Kyle and I were harping about the wings, and you, Cartel, especially, were saying you can't forget about the fact that we need a 6. We were playing with Ox there, and then he went down. We were playing with Amir there. We literally have a hole in the midfield, so. We haven't resolved those, right? To this day, Ndidi has yet to play. It's good we got him, so it is sort of resolved on paper, but it wasn't as far as what we saw today on the pitch, obviously.
Yeah.
And clearly we don't have a winger yet on the left side, and Rashica ain't it. You know, even if you're saying Rashica didn't have a terrible day simply because he just didn't cross the ball, that's like not a good sign, because you want your winger to be crossing the ball. You don't want him to be minimizing his weakness by being less involved in the play.
He wasn't
a solution.
He wasn't shit, but what did he do? He wasn't particularly effective. And we, with all due respect for St. Pat's, but first and foremost, I think this game confirms Conference League is currently our level, which we should be playing at, not Europa League, not Champions League for sure. But also, I think if you're Rashica and you can't show yourself more than a passing grade in a game like this, when are you gonna show it?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
I mean, Kenny, in my opinion, showed more in 45.
At least Kenny's like a kid.
Yeah, and he's 19 years old, and he showed more in 45 minutes than Rashica did. I think he played the full 90, so... he did more in 45 than Rashica did in the full 90.
I don't quite agree that today was a gauge of our true level, because I think we saw in the first half last week that we are capable of much better than what we saw today.
Yeah, but Ketel, that's a game that starts off perfectly where you take the lead. Look, today we deal with a little bit of adversity. We concede a stupid goal early, and that's the types of games we always struggled with in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
Like when we find ourselves down because of whatever, a lapse in concentration, a brilliant move by the opponent, it doesn't really matter what it is. But if you find yourself down early, Beşiktaş continuously tend to struggle with breaking down the opponents and getting back into the game. And yes, today it worked out. But again, with all due respect for St. Patrick's, the level of opponent is not the highest. If we find ourselves in a situation like this against a stubborn team like, say, Başakşehir or Kasım Pasha, or God forbid this weekend against Eyüpspor, like, it doesn't matter. Like, if we, like, any half decent team in the league is going to hurt us a lot more than St. Patrick's did today, because other than those 2 goals in the first half, like, they didn't really hurt us on the counter or anything. They didn't really put us on our toes. We were never really in this position where we're, like, nervous. Even when we scored a 3-2, I think we scored that 3-2 because it didn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. Like, there wasn't extreme pressure on this match to win this. I agree with you, Ketel. We should win this game, because not just because of what you said, because the manager is under pressure, because the board is under pressure, but also for our coefficients. I think it's extremely important to get as many wins as possible, because otherwise,
so we can be seated next time
exactly.
around. Yeah.
Otherwise, we're just gonna find ourselves coming up against Shakhtar Donetsk or Feyenoord, or I don't know who it is going to be next season, or Dynamo Kiev or whatever, and you want to come up against, with all the respect, easier opponents so you can get to the league stages. Because, obviously, we don't know what's going to happen. Maybe we win the cup this season. Maybe we finish in second place. Who knows? And we guarantee ourselves of group stage football or league stage football. But it's just as plausible that we finish third or fourth or whatever, and we have to fight for it again early next summer. And then we're going to need that coefficient. So it's not just about tempering the fans and tempering the pressure on the manager. It's also about the future, because the results we get today are going to matter for 5 years.
Shy of a sort of miraculous left-wing transfer that nobody can expect or predict, I think you kind of have to say that realistically we're competing for third place, right? Like, as things currently stand.
On paper, yeah, for sure,
right?
for sure.
Yeah, unless we suddenly get a centre back, a right back, 2 wingers, a left back probably, back up striker.
I think most importantly, unless we suddenly start playing very free-flowing attacking football and start scoring goals out of our asses, like we start scoring goals easily, I think a lot can change with 1 or 2 transfers, because I think the big issue that we have is ease of scoring. We struggle last season before, but last season especially, like our single biggest weakness was our, how much we struggled to score goals, and how much we struggled to break down opponents and find those special moments and seize them as well. That is our single biggest issue. I think if we can resolve that can change a lot of the dynamics within the team. Because look at Galatasaray, for example. They very frequently play not great, sometimes even poorly, but they need like sometimes they are really they need half a chance to score. And that is the difference. They score so easily. Their attackers are all brimming with confidence. They have other tricks up their sleeves other than that as well. And that's just stuff we don't have right now, and that's stuff we really, really need. And 1 or 2 transfers can change that drastically, and that can also very much change how our season is going to go. But right now, we're playing for third place, and I think it's safe to say, because Galatasaray and Fenerbahce are just still light years ahead at the moment. And not to mention, even when they're not great, they get 2 penalties in the game for free. So it doesn't matter, right? Even if they do struggle scoring, Osimhen isn't playing yet, this guy isn't playing yet, just give them 2 penalties, no problem. So, even if we were to somewhat close the gap a little bit in terms of ease of scoring, we're still gonna have other deficits with them that we can't fix, unfortunately, because those are institutional. Yeah, that's.
That is what it is.
But it is, it is the reality of the situation right now that we, on paper, third place is what we are playing for. Of course, if things suddenly magically change, like I said, 1 or 2 transfers can do a lot. And Ndidi is perhaps one of those 2 transfers. You don't know. You have to see him still.
You hope so.
Yeah.
You hope so.
Shall we have a look at the lineup, and then we can maybe further talk a little bit about
analyze things.
Yeah, the substitutions perhaps.
Performances.
Let's have a look at the lineup for Besiktas then. Do you mind running it down quickly, Sinan?
Sure. In goal, of course, Mert Günok. On the back line, Gabriel Paulista and Emirhan Topçu, with Jonas Svensson as our right back and David Jurasek on the left side. Demir Ege in the 6th role with Orkun Kokcu, of course, next to him in the 8, with Rafa Silva in front of them both in the 10 role. Kenny Arroyo playing on the right side opposite Milot Rashid. And Tammy Abraham is up top with technical director Ole Gunnar Solskjær leading the charge, leading the troops. That's it.
Yeah. Carty, question. When we were 2-0 down, not even that, but like today, what do you think was the biggest issue? Was it the tactical approach, the tactical decisions by the coach? Was it the players' perhaps complacency, arrogance going into the game?
Yeah,
a combination? What do you think was
probably
a
little bit of all of that?
How much blame would you put on the coach? I'll put it that way, because let's be honest.
I think it's complacency and arrogance, man. I think anyone that's calling for the coach's head after this game, man, I think they need to have their head like that. Okay, I understand. We're not happy, and we want to see much better football, and the football today was unacceptable. But look, we've got a league game on Sunday, right? A very, very important league game. So I can understand there being a more complacent, relaxed approach in this game. Was I happy to see it? Of course not. I want to see us play good football in every game. And people seem to forget as well, like the holes in the team that we've been talking about all summer. Some of the holes, like the winger position especially, we've been talking about for about 2 years. They've still not been filled. So I think if you're calling for the coach's head in a game there, which was basically a formality game, like we'd already guaranteed the round in the last game. I think you do need to have your head looked at. However, I wasn't happy with the game today. I wasn't happy with the complacency. But also, the team did show some character, man, bringing the game back from 2-0 back to win 3-2. I think special props need to go to João Mário. Again, he's proven yet again that he can be a fantastic super sub for this team. And I think that's definitely should be his role going forward after we sign some proper top tier wingers, hopefully. On the left and the right, because I think we need both, man. I really think we need both.
I mean, if anything, today did show that. I mean, Kenny definitely should be getting minutes, and there's a good player there. You can tell. But I also think it's not.
I don't think he's ready.
He's not. He can get ready throughout the course of the season, but I think it's also not fair to put too much expectations on him. The problem is that Rashica is not good enough to play ahead of him. So right now
he's not good enough to play anywhere. Yeah,
you can't. I think you can. As a fan, I think it's extremely frustrating to see if on Sunday or when were we playing, Sunday or Monday against AUP?
Monday.
It's gonna be extremely frustrating when that lineup comes out and Rashica is there and Arroyo isn't. I'm not saying that's gonna be the case, but it's probably gonna be the case given the fact that he got yoinked at halftime and Rashica played the full 90. So it's just one of the it's just one of those things where Kenny, he isn't ready yet, but he's really good. He's really talented. You can tell there's a good player there, and we need to nurture that talent. But as long as we don't have somebody that is currently clearly better, who we can maybe also learn from, and and you can justify playing ahead of him, I think it's going to be extremely taxing on the fans' patience, and that in turn will result in backlash towards the coach, because I myself am frustrated by the fact that Rashica is starting in games when Kenny isn't, even if Kenny isn't ready, because Kenny, even when he's not ready, is still a better football player than Rashica, and it's not even close, I don't think, honestly. And I didn't see much from Rashica today other than one good defensive intervention that would justify playing him at all. And then when I saw Mucci come on in the second half, which Carty, I think you were praising him last week.
He was terrible.
He was great in the first half last week, and then he came off with the injury. Yeah. But today, I think you saw Mucci as a winger again.
Really
I wouldn't say he was terrible, but like it was just.
He had one really good moment. We need to see that time when he got through and goal, man.
When he
almost got through and goal, he was.
Yeah.
There was a time he hit the bar, and there was another time
he got tackled.
Almost went to goal himself.
Yeah.
In my book, he had one green little plus mark and 5 red minuses. Sadly, so
and,
I did not rate.
And we were talking about.
I'm eager to watch this game again. I will say that because. Especially with a bird's eye view.
But you have to take that into consideration as well when we praised them last week. I said it then, like the problem with Mucci is like you get these sorts of performances every now and then, but he's very inconsistent. And if I look at the 30 odd minutes that Arroyo played last week, and I look at the 45 minutes that Arroyo played today, I see a lot more consistency. I see a player who doesn't do it enough, because I thought very often today, you should try to beat your man more. Just go for it. Go for it more. He did it a few times. Did really well. The first time he did, I think he got the entire stadium on their feet, and they were cheering him and they were applauding him afterwards. But then, like, he didn't do it. He didn't do it enough after. Maybe, he was up against Kazim. Maybe he was a little bit worried about his physical prowess. I don't know. But he should just be doing it more. He should be showing a little bit more guts. Maybe he's told by the coach, chill, don't take too many risks. But it's a winger, man. Wingers need to take risks. Wingers need to be brave. Wingers need to take on their man time and time and time and time again. And it doesn't matter if you lose the ball 7 out of 10 times. You need to find those openings. That's what wingers are for. I'm a little disappointed that he doesn't do more of that. But, he does it a lot better than Rashica does. That's for sure. I mean, that one cross he had, that's what you need, right? Like, that's the moments that can change a game.
Yeah. The one you mean that Tammy actually got his head on, right?
Yeah. And there were a couple, by the way. Because in the second half, there was another cross. I don't remember who it was from. But Tammy got on the end of that one, too. And there was a few moments. I think Tammy had like 2 or 3 headers at goal, and Anang, I think the goalkeeper is called, he did a good job. He anticipated those headers, and the headers weren't amazing or anything, but they were in between the sticks. That's important, of course. That's what you need to score goals. So I think Tammy had a good game, and he's gonna score plenty of goals if we can just get him players that can consistently provide him with proper crosses. And I think Mucci and Rashica aren't those players. Kenny is a decent crosser, but like Cartel says, he's not fully ready yet, so really we need that left winger. Is very important, but I think we also need that right winger. I think we need the right winger.
One thing I will say is that in responding and in coming back from behind, I think partially why, and I'm trying to defend people who are like way off the rails and like fire the coach immediately. I think probably when we went down 2-0, it's that PTSD of like, we've been here before, and they must have assumed this shit is over. This game is over. They're probably going to come back and even score a third one, and we're fucked now. People, I think, were like going to a very dark place, and I think perhaps I bet a lot of them are surprised that we came back and then even won it. I mean, we are too, to some extent, perhaps, although given the quality of the opposition and the fact that, like, we weren't playing well, but we weren't playing poorly enough to be losing 2-0, right? Like, were kind of 2 flukes.
Well, again,
I think like you could have expected a bounce back, right? And so the fact that we scored before the half, that was important, probably.
I thought we'd go into pump them, to be honest, but then, as we said, like we started the second half really well, and then we just took the foot off the gas again.
Yeah.
But after we made it 2 each, I thought it was going to go to 4 or 5, but unfortunately, I wish we saw that, but we went back to being complacent again. But luckily, we had that moment. Svensson, to be honest, that I thought it was shit all game, man. He kept playing it safe. Well, not shit, but just kept playing it safe. Wasn't taking any risks. Always passes sideways, backwards passing. But then it was actually Svensson that gave a beautiful assist to João Mário for the winner. It was a brilliant.
Better second half. His first half was miserable though.
A brilliant take and finish as well from Mário. The control and the finish was
yeah.
But you also have to say though, Cartal, when you're looking at your right back to be brave and create chances, like, doesn't that also kind of illustrate your problem where, you know, the players that should be really making the difference aren't? You know, and I think, you know, we were talking about.
I understand your point, can definitely, but I think a big team's fullback should be able to create the engine attack as well. But it certainly is emphasised more and more apparent when the rest of the team's doing fuck all as well. You know what I mean? So you definitely have a good point there.
And then
I think also when Mucci gets static though, so like the performance we saw last week was where he was making runs and kind of like getting forward when we were breaking on the counter and things of that nature. When he gets static and starts kind of playing in a more possession-oriented style of play, he's useless. He can't really play with his back to the goal at all for some reason.
Mucci.
His short passing isn't good enough. Yeah, Mucci. His short passing isn't really good enough. His crossing doesn't really do anything ever. I mean, as much as he's not a good winger, like I'm not even sure he'd be much of a good 10.
I've said that in the past,
playing
but
in that style.
I don't see
like,
a good 10 in there. I mean,
he's maybe great on the counter. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know,
but that's not.
I don't.
How we play.
Like we
ideally
when we've said, I think when we've praised Mucci, when we said he's been good, I think most of the time that's been when he does like flashy, tricky stuff, and not like a Ricardo Quaresma, because like Ricardo Quaresma, he goes straight at an opponent and starts dribbling them and stuff like that, and he has tricks up his sleeve. Mucci is like he has like the turnaways and like he has some good dribbling in him, but not like really in the form of take-ons. I don't feel like he has like some roulettes and stuff like that, and there's some nifty stuff he does, but then like his passing game isn't great, his crossing game isn't great, his shooting's fine, but I don't know, man. Like that, to me, I've said this many times, to me Mucci is somebody we should offload, because I don't see the necessary talent in there for him to be more than what he is right now, which is essentially an option off the bench.
Positionless.
Yeah. I mean, I think if tomorrow we were to sign Jadon Sancho or Kerem Aktürkoglu for the left, and we were to sign Václav Černý or somebody else for the right, and you have two wingers plus Arroyo, then I think the role of somebody like Mucci becomes extremely diminished. Because I think João Mário is better at everything than Mucci. Other than maybe shooting. You know?
João Mário is probably our fucking best player just now.
He is. He's having the best. I'm gonna do this power ranking thing, man. You'll see. I have a bad feeling he's gonna be up top.
He is. João Mário is right now, I think, our most informed player, and it doesn't matter if it's against Shakhtar Donetsk, if it's against St. Patrick, it doesn't matter who it's against. Like I feel like he's always bringing it. He always has a positive impact on the game when he comes on, and that's very few players you can say that from, because there's a lot of players who have had a similar role. Mucci comes to mind, Mustafa Hekimoğlu comes to mind, Saliu Can. Who else? Like we can mention a lot of players that come on frequently and where you would hope that they have an impact. Semi, he's gone now, of course, but Semi is
I was going to say Semi,
and the only one that consistently, I think, improves the team, whether or not we get a result out of it is another story, but like I think João Mário is always the one where you're never left wondering, is he still on the pitch? Whereas with like Semi or Mucci or Mustafa Hekimolo, like sometimes they come on and like it's like they're not.
You might never know
it's like
they get
yeah,
there.
exactly. And with João Mário, you always notice that he came on. He always noticed it in a positive way. And it's not to say that João Mário is like the be-all, end-all and our best player.
No.
I mean, right now he might be our most informed player. Obviously, we have Orkun, we have Rafa, we have Tammy. But, you know, it's worth mentioning that Rafa's start to the season is a little underwhelming. Let's be honest. I think he hasn't really played a good game yet. He's had moments, which he had a lot last year too, moments. But he played a lot of good matches as well last season.
It's worth noting, though, he has had an assist in almost every match. And that assist to Tammy was really beautiful. I mean, that laser from Emirhan onto Rafa's foot, and then just a beautiful like drop into Tammy's path. I think those two could form something beautiful.
Yeah, for sure. I think
eventually
Rafa just needs to get his motor running. I think he just needs to get going, and he's not quite there yet. What bothers me most about Rafa right now is his lack of presence in the game. And I feel like last season is
terrible in the first half.
Yeah, it's like it feels like he's not there, you know. And then like all of a sudden he has like a moment or something, but he needs to be more omnipresent. He needs to be, you know, like Orkun. I think he's very present. He's controlling, he's dictating the pace. Like he already has an impact, and you know, you said that last week. Carty, like it's scary to think that he's not, you know, that he still has to settle really. So Orkun's only gonna get better, you'd imagine. But he's like very, you know, he's the playmaker. He's on the ball all the time. He's, like I said, dictating the pace. But we expect something similar from Rafa, not to dictate the pace because that's not his game. But he needs to be more involved. He needs to be more active, not just off the ball, but also on the ball. I think. And he, like you said, Sinan, he needs to continue to build that relationship with Tammy because they are linking up already a few times. But it needs to happen more and more and more. But of course, you know, with that gaping hole on the left and even on the right, it's difficult right now. And it's also to Jurasek, by the way, you know, like I think it's also tough for him because if let's say you have somebody like Kerem or Jadon, Sancho or Leon Bailly or somebody like that on that left side, Jurasek is, you would think, going to get a lot less focused. He's gonna get more time. He's gonna be.
He can slide in and
they're gonna lose track of him more easily if they have a defender, an attacking winger up against them that they need to be on their toes for. That leaves more space in behind for somebody like Jurasek who loves to overlap to do that. Today wasn't the game for Jurasek in that regard simply because of the defensive shape of the opponent, but I think Jurasek, you know, Katla, you said he might be done, but I don't think so. But I don't understand the decision to take him off. I just don't. Especially...
The fans already say we should cancel his contract and sign someone else. And they used the Seferovic example from a few years ago where obviously Galatasaray brought him in after the friendlies. They kind of decided he wasn't good enough and then they terminated the deal and brought in Carty. They're saying we should do something similar to Jurasek just now. I don't know about that, man, but it's not looking good. We can't even find the right back. I mean, okay, we've probably found a right back now, but like it took us weeks to sign a right back. We can't be sure, bro. We've already had two right backs be announced by the club's official channels for the North Dakota.
Yeah, let's wait. Let's see if Fener's gonna be there first at the airport.
Yeah, who knows, with a Range Rover.
Fuckers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But you know, I mean, with Jurasek, I think people are being way too harsh. There's a good player in there as well. You can see that. And I said this last year about João Mário. You can see there's a good player there. You just need to give that guy time to settle. And like today, he didn't do shit wrong. He didn't do anything wrong. And also, he's going to shine a lot more once you get a decent left winger up there. And once, you know, you have to keep in mind, like, there's a lot of new components in this team. Even, you know, Demir Ege is a new component right now. Ndidi will be a new component. Orkun's a new component. Jurasek's a new component. Tammy's a new component. You know, even Kenny, who's been there for 6 months, he's pretty new as well still. And like, you know, like this team still has to form and mesh and build chemistry. and new players are gonna come in, and they're gonna need some time. So it's gonna take take probably a month or 2, 3 before we see what this team is truly capable of. And it's all about not losing momentum in that time. You know, that's a very pivotal point as well. Because if we start losing games and, you know, get into a negative spiral again, that also hampers the creation of cohesion and team chemistry. So,
absolutely.
Do you guys want to have a look at the stats, and then we can get?
Yeah, are they ready, Con, or do you?
Yes.
Do you need me to read some comments for you?
No. Let's get the stats done first, and then we can get into some comments already, because I see the chat's been quite lively.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to probably do a little censorship just to get us through it. I'm just kidding. That's the wrong word. I'm joking. So we had 70% of the ball to their 30%. So quite dominant possession-wise. 16 shots to their 5. 7 on target. That's actually surprising to me. To their 2. 2 big chances apiece. Obviously, they had a penalty, so that's one of them.
Yeah.
And then their other goal.
I suppose their goal, because I don't think Mert was forced to make a save otherwise, right?
No, he wasn't. In fact, we should probably talk about that brain-dead move he did at the end there with the handball. But anyway, additionally, they only had 220 passes completed and at a 79% rate, so we held them below 80%, which is usually a pretty good sign. We completed 612 passes at a 91% clip, which is obviously exceptional. But you'd almost expect it, given that we had 70% of the ball, and you'd hope maybe we could get a few more goals out of that.
And the tempo behind it wasn't great.
It was a little lazy.
It's also,
but it was better in the second half.
Yeah, but you know what? One of the things that actually that frustrated me a little bit in that second half, like I already said it, like we still tried to cross the ball into the box when there was no striker, but also, you know, João Mário was on the field, Rafa was on the field, Carty was on the field, Demir Ege was on the field, Mucci was on the field, Rasica was on the field.
Guys were good on the ball.
You'd expect those people to be able to play a decent passing game, and I feel like as soon as we got near their box, like we tried stuff that was never gonna work until Svensson decided to do the logical thing and played a true ball instead of trying to cross it.
Right.
You know?
I might omit Mucci from that list of guys who can complete a good pass, have a good passing game at this point. I don't think he has it with the short pass. I mean, maybe I'm being harsh.
Sometimes he has a good pass in him, but it's rare.
No, like his long ball, not his cross, not his short pass, but you know he can kind of put it into space pretty well sometimes. But
kind of like the
short pass is just always, he's got exactly. It's actually an interesting comp. Anyway, we committed 11 fouls to their 9. We were offsides twice. They were not offsides at all, which suggests they weren't really they weren't knocking at the door, you could say. We each had 1 corner. Cartel, how about them duels?
So in terms of the duels, it was all over domination for us. 31-27, all in. On the ground, 22-21 for us. Aerial duels, 9-6 to us. In terms of successful dribbles, I think it was a bad night from both teams. We had 5 successful dribbles, completed them at a 38% clip. So that tells you maybe what we tried, 12 or 13 dribbles, and they only completed 2 dribbles all game at a 33% clip. So that means they tried 6 dribbles.
Yeah.
Yellow cards were just 1 apiece. And do you want me to be honest, guys? I think Mark Gunnar probably should have get sent off. I don't think that was a yellow card. It was a deliberate handball.
I missed it. You know what? I was already I was already prepping for the broadcast. That must have been right at the end when they got the free kick, I suppose, because you were just talking.
There was, yeah.
I didn't see it. What did he do?
So basically, there was a long ball coming over the top, and he came out to it. So I think he misjudged his run out, and he kind of missed it.
Yeah.
So just because of that, he deliberately handled the ball like that outside the box. For me, that's a red
card. Of course.
If a keeper deliberately handles it outside the box, it's a red card. But the ref only gave yellow.
Yeah.
We got let off with that one.
That's.
And obviously, the resulting free kick was the last kick of the ball.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't have made a huge difference to this game, but obviously missing Marta against Lausanne could have been big.
And I mean, it's not necessarily because, if they are able to get it between the sticks and you have an on-field player in between there, like, who's to say that?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so it's that's I missed it completely, but
that's right. Quite right.
That's the way you're describing it. Sent off for sure.
Yeah, I forgot that we'd used all subs, but you're right. We did use all 5, so it would have had to have been an outfield player that would have went goals.
Yeah. So he got
could have been a complete disaster.
It's a serious let off then that he was allowed to stay on the pitch. And we'll talk about Lausanne in a little bit because I think that's going to be a tough one for us. But I mean, given how we played today, I think that's definitely going to be tough. And also the fact that they quite easily made quick work of Astana 5-1 on aggregate. I think both of those opponents beforehand, obviously those are both teams that we should always be beating on paper. But I think both were like, Lausanne, Astana, that doesn't sound like fun opponents. Obviously, these are teams you should be beating, but and then to see that obviously Astana isn't the Astana of 10 years ago, but still it's Lausanne. We better get a winger. That's what I say. Let's get to some of these comments, Sinan, unless you guys have anything to add still.
I've just someone actually put in the community chat. Apparently, there's been a diarrhea infection going all through the team. So the team's had cases of diarrhea. So maybe that's a reason for the bad performance today.
It would explain a lot.
I mean,
the taking hands in the training facilities. Everyone's just doing like fist bumps now.
Imagine if that's the reason. Imagine your coach gets sacked because your team had viral diarrhea for like a couple of weeks. But yeah, I mean, like last week, Rasica couldn't play. He got yoinked from the lineup at the last moment, essentially because he was sick. Felix was sick. Who else was? There's a couple of players that have been sick, and also, not sick, but Hekimolo today. Mustafa Hekimolo comes on just back from injury and injured again, which leaves us on Sunday against Ayoub with one striker, which probably leaves us against Lausanne with one striker. I want to get into transfer talk, but let's get to these comments first, and then we can start talking about the transfers. We can talk about Taylan Bulut. We can talk about the Jadon Sancho developments. We can talk about the potential Kerem Aktürkoglu developments. And we can talk about the fact that we really need to sign a striker, guys.
Yeah, among a host of other positions. So, first of all, we have Ole Gunnar post-match therapy. It's sort of, I guess. Grey Wolf, I think we all are not happy. Let's not discuss sacking with the manager, even though I think he made bad decisions today. Financial competition will too much. Who will replace him and the staff? Oh, that's not the only reason we shouldn't fire him. It's not just about having to pay him compensation. I mean, he says he only has this season left on his contract, and who will come, it's too late. And no matter who comes, I'm correcting him a little bit, I think we all feel the team is mid-table if we're lucky. We can't prevent a goal within the 12 minutes again. Why do they keep getting scored on consistently within 12 minutes? Anyone want to address that, or shall I? I mean, I obviously that's one reason not to fire him. The fact that why pay all that compensation and let him see out his contract? I mean,
I think the most important part for me, I mean, the compensation I don't think will be too bad because he only has until the end of the season the contract. But that's not the reason for me. But the reason for me is, the season hasn't even properly started yet. I mean, we've only played European games so far. This team is going through a rebuild, and it's far from complete. And you saw in the second half, we didn't have a striker on the pitch. And not just
we literally don't have a substitute striker.
No,
Hekimolo isn't even a proper number 9. Let's be honest. Not at that point,
Yeah, exactly.
No.
So there's a plethora of reasons why the coach shouldn't be sacked at the moment. And I think at the end of the day, I think for the stability of the club, unless things go really, really poor. Of course, if we hit rock bottom like we did last November, if we get into a situation like that, I think it becomes inevitable to fire a coach. Although the situation last season was also very different. I think if the club is stable enough, then a coach can rectify a rock bottom moment like that if you give them time. Whereas last season, I think it was just unworkable because of the situation behind the scenes as well. It wasn't just the coach, it was also just a club that was in utter turmoil. I think if behind the scenes can be relatively stable, then I think we should see out the season with Ole. Unless things go super, super bad. If we find ourselves in 8 or 9 position, like in December or something, or even in late November, then you have to start talking about changes, unfortunately. And the only change you can make mid-season is the coach. You can't make transfers in November. So, but I think we're not there, and I hope we won't get there.
Yeah, I agree. Carly just says, "Good evening, gents. By the way, good to see you guys all. Huzur, everyone, Umer, Carlito, the financier. Good evening, gents. It's not panic. Most of us are fed up with what is displayed on the pitch." Oh, he's saying it's not them panicking. They think he should be fired because, oh, wow, I'm surprised to hear our guy on the Fire Ole train. Grey Wolf today also showed what I have been saying since end of last season is a replacement goalie in training. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not even willing to put that on the list right now, given all the other things we need, but we certainly, I mean, that, like, what should have been a red card at the end of that match would have been confirmation. Grey Wolf, why no 7 again? Why no 7? Why no 7? Why was Kenny, Orkun, Tammy subbed? I understand replacing Tammy to some extent, given that, we basically secured at least a draw. They weren't going to come back and win it from there. And I think maybe you rest him for the first match on Sunday. As for Orkun, maybe that's kind of the same deal. But yeah, as for Kenny, we all have that question to some extent. Although, like, I wouldn't have minded if Mucci had come on and played really well again and, like, earned his ticket out of here. But anyway, continuing. We have Onur. Oh, sorry, Grey Wolf still. He says, and Mustafa, what the F? Why am I suddenly not cursing? That kind of day, I guess. Not even a second waste of a sub, and now no striker at all except for Tammy. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what's up with Mustafa Hekimolu, how he re-injured that. You'd think that the training staff, the what's the word I'm looking for? The fitness guys would have maybe advised him not to go out there if he shouldn't have. I don't really know exactly. What do you guys make of that? Is there a take to be had?
They're not going to allow him to play if they don't think, if he's not ready. It must just be poor luck. But I think we've seen. Yeah.
Is it even a re-injury? Like, was it the same?
I mean, I don't know if
as you say, it's a re-injury. That's what they're saying.
But also, I don't know if you've noticed this yet, guys. But he seems quite injury prone. He had quite some injury. I mean, like not big stuff, but small muscle injuries last season as well. And I think. Even maybe the season before when he made his debut at 16. So this is not the first time that Mustafa Hekimolu has injury worries. So for that for me is a concern. Not just because I don't think he's good enough yet to be the backup, which I think all agree on. But I think it's more than that. I think it's also I also think he's an injury liability. So I think it's very, very, very urgent that we sign a backup striker. But also in terms of taking off Tammy, I think that was the right thing to do. I'm sorry, but we had with the 2-2, we secured qualification for the next round. We were already relatively certain of it, but he got on the score sheet. He made the important goal, and we only have the one striker right now. Imagine if in minute 78 or in minute 85, Tammy pulls a hamstring. Then what are you gonna do?
He even took a blow to the head at one point when we were losing. I was like, "Oh God, that's how this is gonna go."
And you cannot forget, this is a player that's coming off of an ACL injury. And I have to give him props because I wouldn't say, like, I've seen other players like Rodolfo and Tayyip Talha and other players coming off of ACL injuries who just look like shells of their former self. Tammy looks like he's back, But
he's ready to go.
We need to not risk him when it's unnecessary. And today, after the 2-2 especially, it was no longer necessary. It was an unnecessary risk to leave him on there. And I understand it's frustrating, but it's not all his fault that we don't have alternatives.
Our backup.
And I think he did the right thing by taking him off. And I think he did the right thing by taking Orkun off as well. We cannot forget these are two players that were playing at maybe 60% against Shakhtar. So, I mean, this is just a reality of our squad right now. You can leave them on for 90 minutes and risk injury, but that's only going to hurt you more in the long run. And what's the short-term benefit? There isn't really any. So it was a right decision.
Yeah, fully agreed. Onur Seçer, Grey Wolf. I think the first thing to be discussed should be sacking the manager. We've already addressed that, I suppose. Atil Malak. Yeah, no way. This is 100% the largest crowd these Irish guys have ever played in front of. They average like 3K fans per game. LOL. Carlito, Ole said Mustafa has the same injury again. Idea was to give him 25 minutes to prepare him for AUP and that the trainings went well. But he's young and eager and went all in. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what you expect, right?
I mean, he was on.
Attila, that's home.
He was on there for 2 seconds and he got injured. I don't know if he was.
Yeah.
I don't know what he did, but it's unfortunate.
It's got to be a groin.
It's unfortunate, but I mean, I'm sorry. I think other than the fact that we haven't signed the winger yet, I think the fact that we let Semi go and we haven't brought in a backup striker yet. And, we had this press conference with Sela Adala on Monday. And I personally thought it was a good press conference. And one of the things he said was, we are not offering 30-year-old plus players more than a 1-year contract anymore. We're not doing that anymore. And I get that. But, like, when you're talking about, for example, a Mediterrani or something, or, like, striker, like, I think for our backup striker position, I think we can afford to sign a little older striker on a 2-year contract or something like that. Having said that, I think 1 + 1 year deal for a 32, 33-year-old player is always the way to go. But you aren't always going to be able to get that done. And sometimes you need to fill in positions. And I understand there's still a month in the transfer window and they don't want to rush things. But it's so tough because if you fuck up the start of the season, we have Lausanne on Thursday, right? And then we have the return the next Thursday. Yeah. If we somehow, if Tammy gets sick, if he gets diarrhea and he can't, we're screwed, right? I don't know if we play away.
I almost hope he gets sick today so he can get it out of his system by then.
But then we'll lose points on Sunday. So
I don't know if we want that
we kind of.
Maybe he can get over it by Sunday though, right, Carter? It's like 4 days. You don't want diarrhea for more than 4 days. I think if it's more than 3 days, you got to go to the hospital. They say, right?
In Turkey, they give you a fucking IV drip, man, if you get diarrhea, man, so you'll be well looked after. You're right, maybe he could get over it in a day.
Maybe that's what he needs. He needs a little diarrhea to get hydrated in this hot summer. Anyway, this conversation's gone way off the rails. So, speaking of way off the rails, no, I'm kidding. Actually, Grey Wolf is correct on this one. He says, I don't agree with sacking the manager at this moment. It will take probably 3 full transfer windows and will not see major improvements until 2027 when most of these turds' contract expires. Basically that's about right. Umer, Rashica was decent, Tammy was decent, and Rafa was okay. I don't know if Rashica, you're adding him to the list
I think
guys in the green.
If Rashica was decent and Tammy was decent, I don't know.
You have them at the same level? Come on.
I feel a little sorry. It's... Rashica was, I think, I think Rashica has a different bar than everyone else, right? Like, and I think for his standards.
You mean he wasn't the?
For his standard, he was decent, but like, you know, in reality, he was like, you know, a 5 out of 10 maybe. I think Tammy today was a 6.5, 7. Not great.
Yeah,
not great,
I think I have him at a 7. I think I might even have Tammy at like a 7, 7.5.
Right now, I have to be honest. Like, it's weird. You'd almost think that Tammy is the guy that's been playing for this club for years because he's the one who's putting in a lot.
Sure.
When we scored that goal, when Demir Ege scored that goal, did you see Tammy celebrate? Like he was not.
He was giving him like celebration advice.
No, he was.
He's like, they're too small. Yeah, tell them they're too small.
You could see there was like a certain form of frustration there as well. Like, it was like, and it was the same like in the games against Shakhtar. Like the way he was always like Tammy's giving 110%, and
he's.
I don't know if
he's a passionate guy, man. He's taking ownership of the team. You can see, like, probably the most passionate player on the park.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, even when he's coming off, like, I love like the wee touches. Like we've seen it before with the other players do it, like motivating the players coming on and stuff like that. For example, when he took, when Hekimol came on, he gave him a wee kiss on the cheek and that. It's that kind of camaraderie you love to see, man. Yeah, just to motivate him and let him know he's supporting him, stuff like that, man. You love to see that, and normally, like, even seeing that from an English player has me quite surprised, man, because that's not really something that's done. That's more of a Turkish thing.
He's Nigerian though, right? Like a Nigerian heritage, so maybe that's it.
Yeah, maybe obviously I don't know their customs, so maybe it's similar in that regard, but.
No, but
it's just really it's really nice to see. He's taking ownership of the team. He's been a leader on the park, trying to get everyone motivated and going, and you can see that he's looking out for the kids as well, which is it's really nice to see.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
captain-like behavior.
I mean,
definitely seen it.
When we got him, like in terms of what we got on the pitch so far, I expected all that, but in terms of the leadership that he's shown,
off the field,
I didn't expect that. So that's definitely a bonus. So hopefully we can that can lead to positive things in the future because we need leaders on the pitch and. We need guys like...
We've talked about the locker room rot, right, for years. Yeah. And I think, that's the sort of spirit that can be infectious, right? He I don't think he's going to let guys get down too hard on themselves or to, like, right? Like, he seems to grab them by the collar and kind of...
The fear is, though, is that the rot pulls him in as well. I think, not to this extent, but I think we saw how passionate Immobile was at the start of last season as well. Not to the same extent as Tammy, and that kind of wore off as the season progressed, and we lost hold of our targets. So we just need to make sure that we don't let the same happen to Tammy.
Yeah. Stay competitive, boys. Get a fucking winger, man. Sorry. Atil Malak. Speaking of off the rails, this is where things descend into madness. So bro. Forget. I think he might have had a few too many. Forget squad depth. The ideal 11 can't even hold a clean sheet against St. Patrick's. Forget social media. I'm here. Great. Ole needs to go. So he can't. Should I read all of them? We're defending Ole against a team that is worth 2% our squad value. 4 million versus 156 million.
Nothing on the pitch.
Grey Wolf, they're a weaker team. It just shows how bad and how quality Beşiktaş is. And I mean, you can't just like remove this isn't happening within a vacuum, right? Like we come into this match with a 4-1 advantage. So there's a lot less motivation as far as like fire to compete, and I mean you want them to have that at all times, ideally, right? And especially as Carty was saying, given the position of the manager and all that, you want them to want to perform for his sake. But at the same time, you fully understand how they could come out a little bit flat-footed. In fact, it's probably the norm to some extent. You just don't expect for them to score 2 goals like that right out of the gate. And obviously, one of them is a complete fluke, and the other one. Not
I mean,
much less of a fluke,
I think you know the easy thing is always to blame the manager, and we've changed managers so many times over the last couple of years, and it hasn't changed much at all. At least it hasn't changed anything.
Not much at all. It's not changed shit.
It hasn't.
There's no need to sugarcoat it.
Let's put it this way: it hasn't done anything positive. I think that, like, you know, I don't know, man. Like, it's not a solution right now. And I am not saying Ole is going to bring us to the promised land and he's going to win championships and cups. He's going to win multiple trophies. I am not saying that. I'm just saying.
I've very much got my doubts myself about that as well. I've got doubts about Ole.
I think Ole is a very good coach. Honestly, I think he is, but I don't know if he has what it takes to get us where we need to be, because it's not so much the fact that I doubt his tactical acumen or anything like that. It's just, you know, Turkey is very difficult, and like you need a certain sort of personality, I think, to thrive and to flourish in the Turkish climate. It has nothing to do with his ability as a coach. It's more, I think, whether or not he can survive in the shark-infested waters of this Turkish football, and if he can, you know, handle that. But like, you know, if you hear people talk about Ole from his time at Man United, like recently there was this interview with Harry Maguire in which he talked about Ole and like how he like, if you listen to Maguire, like that was the best coach he's ever had, and I think that says something. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that Ole is a bad coach. I think tactically, like he has very good ideas. It doesn't always come off, but that's normal. But you also need to keep into consideration, like, your tactical ideas aren't going to come off if you don't have the personnel to execute it. And then you can say, okay, but then you need to come up with different tactics. But at the end of the day, like, if you are playing with like a 60% completed puzzle, it's difficult to form the full picture, isn't it? If you don't have the remaining 40% of the pieces.
It's alright if we put it on hold. There's a question I want to ask to Atılcan. Mm-hmm. Atılcan, my friend, what do you suggest we do then? Okay, you want to sack Ole. Who do you bring in instead and why? Like, I'd like you to enlighten us in the chat, please. Because I'm pretty sure that when Gio was sacked, you were saying something similar then as well. A lot of people were. Mm-hmm. And then time passed and we realised, oh fuck, he wasn't the problem. Yeah. So I feel like we're just going round in a
vicious circle.
Vicious circle. I've been up since 6 o'clock this morning. Forgive me. Like I'm not very sharp. I'm forgetting my phrases and my words. But
honestly,
we've been going in a vicious circle for 4 years now, almost.
And also,
4 years now, we've been going in.
Cartel, I've actually loved your takes today. Yeah. Maybe we need to get you a little more loose like this. Maybe got to get you drunk before. Because I the whole episode, I've been like vehemently nodding my head along. I'm everything you've said.
But
I love it.
No, I mean, I don't feel too sharp just now because I've been in the office all week and I've been up since 6 a.m. So I'm tired, man. But so we've been in a vicious circle for the last 4 years, and the coach has changed numerous times, as Can mentioned earlier on. Like, and is that Can's kind of sugarcoated it, saying it's never changed for the positive. I'm saying Jack shit changed, just stayed the same.
But Cartel, also very important. There was an interview with Rachid Ghazal, who did a French podcast recently, and our friend Aurélien sent a little bit of a transcript of what he said. Like, one of the things he said is that one of the biggest problems for Turkish football is that tactically they're very much behind. And that is one of the things, like, you need to take into consideration. Everyone's clamoring for the great return of whether it's Sergen or Şenol Güneş. But, like, that's what Rachid Ghazal is talking about there, guys. That, like, these coaches don't have the tactical acumen to be... like to be successful. Do you think that there's a reason why Galatasaray, with all the money they spent and the squad they have, that they
shit the bed in Europe?
Why are they so bad in Europe? Because their coach, like,
not a good
tactically isn't strong enough, and we can regress and go back to a Turkish coach that tactically isn't strong enough. Because we saw that. Like, I love Sergen. Sergen is my all-time favorite player alongside Ricardo Quaresma. But I loved like his time that he spent with us as a manager for the most part. But that Champions League run, okay, it was riddled with injuries. It was really unfortunate. But that game against Sporting Lisbon, against Sporting, we conceded 3 goals on set pieces or something, like, and it was all the same.
3 goals.
Same goal. Same freaking goal.
It was 3 corners, and then after the game, he had the audacity to say it was luck, and then he also said that corners aren't set pieces.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
And it's like, I mean, I love Sergen, but Sergen, short term, I'm sure he can give you a boost and all that kind of stuff. But if you really want to be a serious club and you want to build towards longevity and you want to build a project, these people aren't the answer, guys. Like Sergen, I love him to death, but he's not the answer because he's not gonna stick around for more than 2 years. And that second year or that second, like, is probably not gonna be great. Like the first year might be good because there's gonna be like a certain effect and all that kind of stuff. And one of the things Rashid Ghazal also said, what he said, Sergen treated him like a king or like a prince. If he didn't feel good, he said, "Oh, you don't have to train. Just come into training like 2-3 days before the game, and it's okay." And sometimes that's good because maybe that was the reason why Rashid Ghazal fell off after and got injury after injury after injury because he didn't get enough rest. So maybe for Rashid it was fine, but
typically you want a firmer hand.
Things we've heard in the past when Sergen was the coach. You know what the players were getting for dinner? They were getting pizza and shit, man. They were eating pizza, like they didn't even. And
Coca-Cola in the facilities.
No proper nutritionists, no proper training staff. With all due respect for the deceased, Gurso Yalcin was his analyst. And just his staff in general. Like I think Murat Şahin did a good job at Hatay when he went there. Okay, they still relegated, but he did a good job. But like that's, I think you cannot compare that to the staff that Ole has right now. And I just think we need to all be patient and weather the storm. Let this team be built, and then we need to start judging the coaching staff. Not now. It's way too early. Yeah. Even if.
And let me ask Attila a question too. I want to ask Attila a question.
Yeah,
he's already kind of responded.
See, the thing is, I think I'm 99.99% sure Attila wanted Gio out after the bad spell, but now he's saying that we should have kept him.
I wanted him out. I have to be honest. But guys, but for me,
I did.
For me, the reason I wanted him out is because I saw it in him, man. He was done. He had thrown in the towel. He was mentally checked out. That is for me the only reason right now. If we get to a point with Ole where he is clearly out, like mentally gone, then you need to sack him, because there's no point in keeping on a coach that's checked out. That's the reason I didn't want to continue with Gio at the time. Otherwise, I would have said the same. Like, just keep going. What's the point in sacking him and going with Seda Topaktepe for 2 months? There's no point in that, you know?
Yeah, but it was that board's fault that he did check out, man, not paying the wages for 2 months. Supposedly they were getting it.
That's also what I was. That's also what I was saying earlier. Like, for us to get to a point like last November, like it like things need to go really, really bad behind the scenes. As long as the environment behind the scenes is relatively stable, I think Ole should be able to see out the season without us ever getting to a point of no return, like I think we did with Gio last season, where, like I said, he checked out. I don't think Ole is gonna check out unless everything
just real quick.
Shit hits the fan.
Attila says here, he says he doesn't see what's Ole's specialty is defense or attack. First of all, we don't have the capacity to have a specialty in terms of attack because we're lacking 2/3 of what we need. But second, just like Attila, my question is, looking at these performances that you're critical of and all that, like, what is it that you would do different in a tactical sense? And I don't, like, who would you play that would have provided a sort of miraculously better performance in what positions? Like, do you have something really concrete that you think could have been done that would have made the situation better? Because I feel like it's so easy to shit on just, like, the situation in general. Like, he's the vibes, he's in charge of the whole thing. But, like, what can you actually do, right? If you don't have a left winger, and you don't really even have a right winger. Yeah. Like if you're not sold on Kenny, like what are you just gonna like?
And some people
trot out anyone.
Some people
like
criticize Ole
like,
and say that he's like giving the ball to the opponents and he's trying to play a counter-attacking game. Again, I don't think that's actually accurate. I think he just doesn't have the personnel right now to play a proper dominant game. Because, for a proper dominant game, you need two proper wingers. How are you going to do it otherwise? Like, you need ball retention as well. And honestly, right.
I was going to say, you also need two proper midfielders in the back there. And look, Demir Ege shows a huge upside and a high ceiling. We're all happy with aspects of his play, but let's be serious. After the preseason ended and the competitive matches started, he has not yet shown us that. It hasn't come back.
Has he put in a 6? Has he put in a 6 out of 10 performance so far in those competitive games? I don't think so. Maybe today, like
they might have been close with the second half.
Second half was decent.
I'm closer to 4 out of 10, man. To be honest.
Today, I mean, there was one moment where we had a breakaway opportunity and Kenny was dashing down the right, was completely open, and you would expect Demir Ege, because this is supposedly one of his strengths, like his vision and his passing, to spot that run and to play him through. And instead, he had, like, when dogs get like neutered or something and they put these cones around on their necks? That's how I thought of Demir Ege at that moment, because he got the ball, I think, from Rashica, and the only option he saw, play it back towards Rashica on the left hand side. He and look, this can happen, right? Like you don't have eyes in the back of your head and on the side and whatever and all that. But if you're Orkun and Demir Ege, from them I expect them to spot that run. If Jetson doesn't spot that run, that's a different thing, because Jetson has so many other attributes that made him special, that made him great. But literally, Demir Ege's if you were to like make him in a video game and like his 3 top attributes, I think one would be passing and 2 would be vision, right? And then I don't know what 3 would be. I don't know.
Maybe he's pretty good on the ball. Maybe his ball control or something.
Maybe. But let's say those 3 things. But honestly, I think if he doesn't spot that run, then he's not good enough yet, because he needs to spot that run. And sometimes you miss stuff like that, but he had the entire pitch in front of him. And I think, if you look at our lineup today, in the front line, there's one big gaping hole, one little hole. I mean, I like Kenny a lot, but he's not there yet. Tammy is great. Left winger is not good. Right winger is a problem. Then in the midfield, you have Rafa and you have Orkun, and then you have a big gaping hole there, in my opinion. Demir Ege is not ready. He's not ready.
And he might just not be a 6, right? Like I think he should be our backup for Orkun. And then it becomes a question of he and Kartal Kaida. Yeah. I know he and Kartal Kaida are competing.
I quite frankly, like, this is also like one of my criticisms of Ole has been for the longest time, lack of playing time for Kenny. A newly forming criticism for me right now is his preference for Demir Ege over Kartal Kaida Yilmaz. I think Kartal Kaida right now is the better player. He is more composed.
Although I will say, I like him off of the bench, because I think the things he brings are really valuable when like a side is probably tiring. You bring him in, he's got legs,
but Sinan,
kind of a great technical.
Once Ndidi comes into the team and you have Ndidi, Orkun, Rafa, are you gonna bring off Demir Ege off the bench, or are you gonna bring on Kartal Kaida off the bench? Like, I would bring Kartal on. I don't know if Ole is gonna bring Kartal on. Right now, it seems like he has a preference for Demir Ege.
Yeah.
And I don't.
Time out. Are you guys reading this? I'm gonna try and be patient, but Ole's minor decisions have been poor. Even I'd like to know which ones you mean, but like you're always going to split hairs with someone on minor decisions, so I don't think that should be something that makes you want to fire
I
them.
definitely think.
That said,
no, he definitely makes. I mean, like we were just talking about it, like right, like
yeah, we're talking about Kenny, right? Like,
and,
we talked about Kenny all season.
And Demir Ege
and now Carty, maybe.
Yeah, those are definitely decisions that are questionable. But there's never going to be a coach where you're not going to question decisions. Lucescu, I questioned his decisions to play Yasin Sulun all the time. I questioned.
We questioned Channel a lot of decisions, even when we were.
Channel made a lot of questionable decisions, especially when it came to introducing new talent and when it came to introducing new transfers. Like there was a lot of issues. Channel wasted so much capital of the club. He ruined I think a wash list of transfers where he just like Boyko, Jermaine Lens, Mitrovic, Milosevic. I mean, Milosevic wasn't even a new transfer under him, but he still ruined them.
No.
And he even tried with Fabri, man. Like the only reason Fabri got the gloves was because Tolga fucked up again against Benfica. You know,
which is probably inevitable.
After he had already cost us our European campaign the season before against Sporting Lisbon. You know, like he just couldn't.
But so real quick though, to finish up Atil Stah here though, he says last week Mucci balled. So he's talking about the minor decisions he doesn't like.
Okay.
He benched Mucci, and then Mucci comes on. First of all, I think you might be forgetting that Mucci was injured, which was a pretty key part of that whole story.
Mucci balled, got injured, and had to be subbed off, and only just returned to training 2 or 3 days ago. So him not starting.
And he played like asshole today. Yeah. So like let's not get too hung up on Mucci. Yeah. I don't know. It's just not going well at the moment. I mean. He forced Mustafa. He's injured. I mean, again, right? Like
he's not gonna.
How do you know he forced him? Like that's just you assuming that. I told you.
Yeah.
Like
that's like bad.
The guy was probably like. I think if the sports science department cleared him to play and the medical staff cleared him to play, he was probably recovered. Yeah. Unfortunately, sometimes the injuries happen. It's just part of the game. Yeah. So you can't just assume that he forced him.
And he has a track record of injuries. Let me just have a look at his injury history, because you know I've said this earlier. Like Mustafa Hekimoğlu already has had a fair share of injuries in his short career. He's 18 years old. He's been playing professional since he's 16. Let me look at his injury history here. Let me just get rid of these stupid cookies on Transfermarkt.
Yeah, they always do that.
Let's see. Injuries. So he's had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wait, 8, 9 injuries? Come on, that's impossible, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It doesn't fit on my page. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 injuries. He has missed a total of, let's see, 7 plus 2 plus 1, that's 10, that's 11, that's 14, that's 15, that's 19, and that's 23 matches. He's missed 23 matches due to injury already, and spread out over the 2023, 2024, and now this season. 8 injuries in 2 seasons, and
really 2. Yeah, this hasn't even started.
8 injuries in 2 seasons, and you're gonna say that he forced Mustafa back? It seems to me Mustafa's just prone as fuck to injury, man. Pardon my French. That's like, you know.
It's not good.
Yeah. That's.
Anyway, back to the chat. Grey Wolf says, any way you look at it, this was embarrassing. Also, Beşiktaş was down a man with number 7 in the game. He's still not saying his name, by the way, which is funny. He says, Kenny should have played the full 90 and start every game.
Yeah, I
mean, given the current personnel, perhaps that's true. But yeah.
I think if this game goes differently, if there's not like, because you really after that 2-0, like it turned toxic for a moment there in the stadium, guys, and like it's one thing for a group chat, to turn a little bit toxic and people start complaining. That's the normalest thing in the world, and like the live chat right now, like people not being super positive, that's the normalest thing in the world. In the stadium, though, like I understand it, but like that is really detrimental, and especially for young players. I would have left Kenny on I would have liked to see Kenny for 90 minutes too. But I think, like I said earlier when we were talking about it, when he fired that shot towards the top left corner and it went over and out, and fans just, reacted really negatively, and that was like not too long before halftime, I think. I think Ole just made the decision there to take him off and protect him. And honestly, maybe that was the decision with Jurasek as well. Because of the backlash Jurasek has gotten after one game. He got abused on Instagram. His wife got abused on Instagram by our amazing fans. So I understand why Ole is taking off the two players that he probably, he wants to protect them, I think. Because honestly, I don't think Jurasek was bad. Otherwise, I can't really think of a reason why he took him off tactically, honestly. So I think it's just, protect them before they get burned.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to see the post-match comments from Ole, because obviously we went live pretty much straight after, as soon as I got everything up and running. So haven't been able to see or hear any of Ole's comments yet. So I don't know, Gato, would you mind maybe having a look at if you can find some quotes from Ole, see what he had to say about it? Maybe he was asked about the substitutions or anything like that. Let's continue with the chat.
I'll read on here. Yeah, Finnish, not the Swedish kebab. Because Lausanne will be difficult to beat.
Yes.
Much more difficult to beat, especially with that level of defending.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, realistically, most teams are going to be more difficult to beat than St. Patrick's. But we all agree, I think, in that this could be potentially a quality side that we're coming up against.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna have to up our game, right? Like, hopefully we can do so.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe let's throw to Gatlin and get to hear what these comments from Ole were post-match. And guys, by the way, just before you go, Gatlin, take into consideration he's reading these transcribed posts from Twitter, and they are terrible at translating English to Turkish. So if he says something that kind of sounds funny, that might just be lost in translation.
Yeah, because the translator's rubbish. But I'm just, as Karen said, I'm just reading the Turkish quotes on Twitter. So he said that Mustafa got injured from the same place. He says he's a very passionate, enthusiastic kid. He went into the game with 100% energy. Unfortunately, he got injured from the same place. And then the second quote is, the result today actually shows how good we played last week. We were ahead 4-0 at half time. He says, I'm happy with the score because we advanced to the next round. But if we start games like that, we need to get better. And if we start games like this, we can't expect to win games. He says at half time I used strong. I said that we had to be better, show more quality, play quicker. He says that we had to be more aggressive and more aggressive with the pressing and be stronger on the 1v1 duels. My players gave a good answer to this. In the second half we played well and we advanced. Yeah,
I mean, I don't think...
Next one is, so it's the start of the season. We've just been through an intense camp. We're sorting the foundations for the season. The intense training that we've done is going to help us throughout the season. Last year, Besiktas started very well, but then things went bad. This year, we want it to be the opposite of that. I suppose you can't say that, but man, that's basically saying the opposite would be a bad start, and then
I think that's probably a bad translation.
I mean, obviously, what he means is clear. Like, we don't want to
drop the ball.
Actually, it's better to start off slow but win, but maybe not with the best football, and then start playing better and better and better. That's much better, obviously. But something that occurs to me, guys, if there's like a diarrhea epidemic that went through the team, that has to indicate that they all got served bad food somewhere, right? So either somebody in the kitchen needs to get fired, or it happened when they were like in Ireland or something. Maybe they ate some. I mean, you know.
I think it was before that.
Haggis.
He said Mr. Ratti didn't go to. Yeah, Scottish. Yeah. So. Saying Mr. Ratti didn't go to Ireland because he had diarrhea, so that it must have been before that. But anyway, I'll continue with these quotes.
Yeah, please.
He says, "I know that my players are passionate on the field. I can see this. Like they're working hard and they like they're showing that they want to do it." He says in a short period of time before the season, we worked very intensely. He says throughout the season this is going to be beneficial for us. Let's see. So the next quote. So the reporter asked why is Mr. Ratti not in the squad? He says that on the bench as subs I have as substitute midfielders he's got Carty, Sari and Hamish. And then he says he decided to go for players in different positions for the rest of the bench. He says he was also sick at the same time. He says that's why he didn't come to Ireland that last week. So that shows that this started before we went to Ireland. So it wasn't a dodgy meal in Ireland.
Yeah.
He says
must have been a dodgy meal in our kitchen, which is worse.
Yeah. Yeah. There's an endemic in the facilities with band shaking hands. Everyone's fist bumping. He says hopefully it's going to finish.
Oh,
the endemic.
It's just ridiculous. Like, how did that happen?
Yeah. It must be pretty contagious.
Yeah.
So he's saying at Besiktas the expectations are very high. At Besiktas the expectations are very high. Besiktas is a very big unity. He says we want to build a team that everyone's going to support. We've brought in a lot of players. We're going to bring in more players. He says he's 100% sure that the fans are going to see better than this.
Yeah. Okay.
Obviously, that's a nice to hear, but we want to see it.
Let's hope so. Yeah.
He's saying that pressure is important to be a better team. He says he likes pressure. He says he likes the expectations being high. He says that the players have to be able to put up with some criticism. He says good players need to be able to deal with some criticism.
Yeah.
He says our goal is to create a big team, as in like a big team, as in like a classical big team. So he's saying that there can be hard times, but he says that he trusts the work he does. He says that expectations make you feel alive. He says we need players that are able to basically carry those expectations. So they're not going to crumble under them.
Okay.
Let's see.
Good.
Yeah, that's all of it. Let's hear your comments, folks. What do you think of Solskjær's comments?
By the way, do we know yet if we're playing Lausanne away or home first?
I can have a look.
Yeah, I just tried to look as well, but on FotMob it doesn't list the fixture yet, so I couldn't see. All right.
No, we're playing away.
Well,
apparently we're playing at 5 o'clock.
Did we finish the majority of the comments? Are we playing away first? Sorry.
Yeah, it says away at 5 o'clock.
That's an advantage.
But I've got a feeling the times haven't been set yet. It's just showing 5 o'clock for all of them.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense. See now, were we largely finished with the comments? Because then I kind of want to get into the new topics because there's a lot to talk about still, and we've already been going for 1.5 hours, and I really want to start getting into transfers.
Not the majority, probably. Maybe we can skip a few though, because all right, I'll continue. TT No Face, which is good to see you back, TT No Face. I don't know if we figured out what that name means yet. He says there's no game plan, just boring passing around with zero movement.
It means he only cares about titties, not the face.
Oh shit! I should have been able to put that together.
That's just my perverted interpretation. I have no clue if that's what it means.
No, you sold me on it. Shit, that seems obvious now. And then Attila again. He needs to go. Okay, right. Man. Mid-table, not third place. Mid-table. TT No Face. We need at least 5 more transfers, probably. Attila's Kanjim. I was saying the same, but what effect do transfers have to this type of football we are playing? I feel like you've got to be joking at this point. What effect do transfers have? I mean, if you have shitty players playing in positions that are vital to your team being good, obviously if you replace them with good players, it should have a positive impact.
Half the time we're playing with midfielders on the wings, guys. Like we are consistently playing players out of position on the wings. Mucci, João Mário, like these aren't wingers.
Yeah.
And then the only wingers you have is one is Kenny, who's a 19-year-old kid who still has to take steps, and then the other one's Rashica, and he's really, really, really, really, really, really piss poor. You know, so like it has a massive impact. Like take Osimhen out of Galatasaray last season, and Fener are the champions.
I mean, it feels like you got to be trolling, I feel, because like that's the way that teams improve is you transfer players. I mean, I feel like we've been harping about this all summer. We need to get rid of these guys. We need to bring in these key positions.
If you have a squad and a team where like the puzzle pieces are there yet, but like the manager, like tactically that wasn't clicking, then you can improve by changing the manager, because then you already have good foundations, and then you can further enhance that with a better manager, a better tactical approach, and so on and so on and so forth. But we don't have those foundations set yet. We need to set the foundations before we can start talking about, this manager's tactics aren't good enough or whatever. You know, like put together a quality squad first, and then you start grading the coach. We've got it backwards right now. We are deciding whether a coach has done a good job when he's working with, like, you know, you're asking him to ski, but he's only got a snowboard, sorry. Or actually, you know what? You're asking him to snowboard, and he has a skateboard.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll work, but those wheels will get in the way.
Yeah, I'm not sure it would work even. Actually, it'd probably get stuck in the snow. I mean, you just bust your ass at 10, which is kind of where we are. Anyway, Grey Wolf says, as I mentioned, the playing style is frustrating, boring, no direction, horrible. TT no face, still no wingers. Grey Wolf need a half-decent winger that will change a lot. The players also need to act, not just standing, waiting, and reacting instead of anticipating. Also in the attack box is once again relatively empty. Yeah. João Mário seems to be great off the bench.
I mean, if you see Czerny last season for Rangers, 18 goals. Laurienté for Sassuolo last season, 18 goals. Jadon Sancho didn't contribute that much in the scoreline. I think he had like 8 goals, 7 assists, but like a winger can make a big difference. I mean, Kerem Aktürkoglu last season for Benfica, 18 goals and like 10 assists or something, you know? Like, if you can bring in a winger that has like 20, 25 goal contributions in him, that makes a massive difference over somebody like Rashica, man. Like Rashica...
I hate to remind people, but the last time we won a championship, Kyle Larin scored nearly 20 goals off as a winger.
19 goals as a winger, and Rashica had... and Rachid Ghazal had like 17 or 18 assists.
Yep, exactly.
You know?
So, talk about the value of wingers.
And then you had Aboubakar scoring 14 odd goals as well without playing half the season, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean... And you had Nkudu scoring 8 goals or 9 goals. You had Gökhan Töre scoring goals. You need goals. And right now, the only people who are providing goals are João Mário and Tammy Abraham. Like, nobody else is scoring at the moment. Well, Demir Ege scored today, but you know what I mean. Like, we've played 4 official games so far, and only Tammy and João Mário have been consistent goal threats.
Yep.
I mean, to be fair, Rafa had couple of good attempts saved as well, but you know what I mean. Like, it's not like our wingers are not contributing at all. Like, has any of our winger gotten close to scoring in these 4 matches? I don't think so. I mean, unless
João Mário.
But he's not a real winger, though, is he?
No, not at all. I was gonna say, he doesn't technically qualify as a winger. except that's just where he happens.
Even when he plays as a winger, he tucks inside, and he's more in the middle.
That was where he was at his best. Yeah, he was supporting the midfield. All right, let's get through these. We have Umer Gunal, of course, Mr. Positive, egged on by the other peanut gallery participants, if you will. Ole was all over the place today. Rashica stayed on as left wing, and Kenny didn't even get 60 minutes. I mean, maybe you could make the argument that Rashica should not have played, at all. But that's a whole that's another problem.
I think he should have.
We don't have many options either.
I think it was important for if you're gonna use Rashica this season and he's gonna be part of your squad. I think it was important for him to get minutes today because he hasn't gotten many minutes in preseason and in the previous games because of his diarrhea or whatever it was. So I mean, I think it was important for him to get minutes. But like I said, I think the logical explanation is Ole took out Kenny because he was a little bit worried about the fan backlash, and I think it makes sense wanting to protect a 19-year-old player who's new,
or the new guy.
He's in a new environment. It's different with somebody like Simi or when you have your own academy products who know the volatility of the crowd and all that kind of stuff. But, South Americans are. They are very fiery personality-wise, and I could see that getting toxic. If as a young, cocky winger from Ecuador, from the streets from Ecuador, and you're and the fans are kind of reacting negatively towards you, I could see that turning sour.
Yeah, for sure. In fact, you could almost predict it. But yeah, anyway.
Let's not forget João Mário was flipping off fans in preseason, right? Because they were being assholes.
That's right. Umer Gunal, Mucci doesn't fit anywhere in the squad. He was agreeing with us. He should be sold, use the money by a player that we can benefit from. Yeah. Fully agreed. Yeah. Carlito, Kenny is not being coached correctly. He's being constrained. He is not taking on his opponent like he did in his first game. Yes, he is.
He did it a few times, but not enough. I agree with that.
With this pressure and these instructions, he won't make it. Yeah, but I wouldn't say that it's not attacking his opponent because he's being told not to.
We don't know that. That's speculation, of course.
Right, that's a stretch.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I was suggesting the same thing, but I don't know. It's a guess. It's a complete and utter stab at the dark. Maybe it's a lack of confidence on his part. Maybe it's him. Yeah. Not maybe necessarily lack of confidence, but maybe it's him okay, I'm gonna take X amount of risks today, and I'm gonna play it safe the other times because because the coach wants me to be more mature or whatever. It was something that's been talked about. So maybe that's just.
But I mean, he still does take on opponents. To the extent that
he does, but not enough. It should be a lot. That should be his.
He could do it more.
Yeah, he should be doing it a lot more. He should be looking to cross the ball a lot more. He should be looking to go past this man a lot more. He has the explosiveness. He has the skill on the ball for sure. He has the crossing ability. So he should be trying to what Santana was doing against us, just constantly looking up at his direct opponent. Kevin was doing it too, and just constantly trying to create chances and opportunity, and that's what we want to see from Kenny. But maybe it'll come with time once he starts feeling more comfortable in the team. Once he starts, feeling more like a peer rather than the little brother. You know what I mean? And
I was gonna say confidence is probably a big part of it too, right? Yeah. Once he bags a goal, maybe, or has a really nice assist, you can sort of see him stringing a couple together.
Once he probably feels that he's established himself in the team and he's more than just a talent coming off the bench and getting some minutes here and there. I think once that is very important. Do you feel established in the team? And I think that's the main issue right now for Kenny is he's not there yet, probably. Whether or not that has to do with managerial instructions, I think it's got more to do with the pecking order. Don't forget, he also took a couple of risks today. He there was a free kick where he took it instead of Orkun. That didn't go well.
Yeah, didn't go well.
There was a corner he took instead of Orkun. So he was being gutsy in certain moments, but I think you can only afford to take those sorts of risks so many times in a single game. Otherwise, your fellow players, the more senior players, are also gonna be like, "Hey, kid, take a step back."
Yeah, come on.
So, I would prefer to see him take those risks more in the form of take-ons and those kind of stuff, rather than taking a free kick instead of Orkun, who's an expert.
Yeah. So we've got Grey Wolf. Oh man, he started like being so hopeful, and I think these guys took his confidence.
They're dragging him down like Immobile last season.
Besiktas has killed my soul, hopes, and expectations. What happened? Because you were like pretty hopeful like a minute ago. I just expect the worst and do not see any promise until these turds are gone. Yeah, a lot of turds need to go. Which is always the case with turds. You gotta flesh them.
Yep.
Carlito, if this was against a better opponent, nobody would complain to this extent. But against this opponent has nothing to do with panic. Enough is enough. There is zero improvement against the weak opponent.
There was no panic. It was complacency and arrogance, I think.
He's talking about he's because we're talking about the fans panicking about and trying to get Ole fired, and he's defending that. He's on the fire Ole train, which is surprising from Udo. I'm so shocked to find that out. Usually a more level-headed individual. But yeah, no. Zero improvement. I mean, we were just talking about how we were always going down a goal or 2 goals and just collapsing, and so I mean, you could make the argument that coming back and winning.
Well, but I think
a good sign as far as life.
Ole said it as well in his post-match, right? That Carty read is, I mean, at the end of the day, if this happens more often, you're gonna lose. You're not gonna win games. And I think what he was saying in between the lines there was, if you play against a better opponent, and you put yourself in this sort of situation, 2-0 down after 30-odd minutes, like, you're not gonna win that game.
Yeah, of course.
But
it's not like we couldn't have imagined. I mean, given that the heightened panic in the group chat at that time, clearly everybody was very capable of imagining us going on and losing this match and not coming back and winning it. So.
I'm gonna cut you short with the comments, man. It's taking a little bit too long, all these comments.
Yeah.
There's stuff to talk about still.
Hey,
we can get back to
no skin off my back.
We can get back to the comments, or maybe you can, if you maybe want to scroll through them a little bit and pick out a couple of good ones. But let's get to the transfers now, man, because this is gonna take too long. We're already past midnight here, so let's get into the transfers. I'm also seeing poor Kartal being very tired there, so. And it's still a Friday tomorrow, so I assume he has to work tomorrow. So let's get into the transfer. So first and foremost, it does look like Beşiktaş have signed themselves a winger, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, not a winger. I was getting people excited for a second there. I'm very sorry. No, exactly.
Like, whoa.
Exactly, a fullback. Beşiktaş are on the verge of signing, according to multiple reports, including the transfer guru Fabrizio Romano. We are
Here we go.
We're on the verge of signing German-Turkish right back Taylan Bulut, and I assume this was a joke. I assume this was a joke from you, Kartal, but you said something along the lines of, I hope he's a little bit better than his cousin. I hope it's not really his cousin.
Yeah. No, it was a joke.
Okay.
Just because they have the same last name.
Thank God. You almost gave. I mean, I was.
put the scare.
You put the scare in me, man. You really, really did. I am, trying to be fancy in the meantime and create something cool, as well.
Here, I'll read another comment if you want. And then we got a 10.
No, wait. No. So Taylan Bulut, 19-year-old. 19-year-old right back. Sorry for my stuttering. So he's a 19-year-old right back that plays for Schalke 04 in the German second Bundesliga. But of course, everyone who has been around for a while knows that Schalke 04 is a really, really big club in German football, and they just they haven't necessarily been too lucky in recent years, I'll say. But according to a tweet from Fabrizio, they have been a little bit down. Like, I'll put it that way. They have been stuck in the second Bundesliga for a while, much like Hamburg. Two massive clubs from Germany, but they've just not found themselves back in the top tier. But they're still. Schalke is one of the biggest clubs in Germany. Have a fantastic youth academy. They actually got Taylan from Bayer Leverkusen, if I'm not mistaken. So he was actually a youth player for Bayer Leverkusen, but he hasn't only been playing for Leverkusen and for Schalke, but he's also actually played for the German national team under 16, under 15, I think, under 17, under 19. So just here is that tweet, by the way, from Mr. Fabrizio Romano, as you can see. So
Fab.
and of course, he steered us wrong a couple of times this season, guys. I know that. Don't take everything he says as a fact for sure, but it looks like we're very close to signing him. There were rumors already at the end of last season, because he managed to become Schalke's starting right back this past season. He's only 19 years old. Like I said, he played 24 Bundesliga matches this season. I assume he got his Bundesliga too. His way into the team a little bit slower, but then established himself as the starting right back. He's been linked to...
He's only 19.
Yeah, he's 19 years old. He's been linked to a bunch of Bundesliga clubs. And the transfer fee talked about was 5 to 6 million euros. So I don't think this is just going to be... I don't think this is just a signing for the depth.
For depth.
I think this might be our right back, guys, because I think we're spending a pretty penny.
Yeah.
I think we're probably going to be spending...
Diar Kakmak subscribe
Thank
to
you
the
very
channel.
much there, Divar Chakmak, for subscribing to the Black Eagles.
Diar.
Diar or Divar? Or is it Diar?
Diar.
Oh, pardon me, Diar.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Don't forget to hit the notification bell as well, please. So, I was going to say Errol Bulut. Taylan Bulut. I don't know him. I can only say what I've briefly read. Seems to be pretty highly rated. Good passer of the ball, physical, strong, but pretty fast as well. Tall. He's like 188 tall. It's very strong, very tall for a fullback. Now I don't know what you guys think. If we're still going to end up signing a foreign right back, it's possible. But maybe this means we're keeping Svensson for the season.
Yeah.
I think this might mean that, and I think Taylan is being transferred as the main right back. Honestly, because I mean, if he's
I love this.
Yeah. I mean, on paper,
put that on the record.
On paper, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe if he's like the other Bulut, then we'll revisit this.
Yeah.
No, look, man. Because you look at we always want the ability to bring in a Turk who's capable of playing significant minutes for us, because it means that you alleviate the foreign limit.
Mm-hmm.
And you look especially at fullbacks. And not only is Turkey as a nation very much in need of some next generation fullbacks to sort of step up into maybe the national side, if that's possible, but it's a huge hole, right? And we were talking about, if we could get a Turkish right back, who would it be? And we're like, there's Zeki Çelik talk, and I forgot who the other option was, but this is an amazing move that it's a guy whose name. I mean, this is what the scouts are for. You have to imagine Graf has something to do with this. Because everything about this is lovely, because it means that we have a Turk potentially starting, which means that you can afford to have another foreigner on the bench, which means like Svensson, João Mário. Suddenly, depth, which is a huge problem, becomes maybe a strength if you can put players like that as guys who are coming in off the bench. So, I mean, this checks off multiple boxes if it works. If it works. And it frees us up. Now we can go big on a left wing too, right? If we got a starter for 5 million or 6 million who's 19, let's see who comes in on the left wing. Because that's what's left.
I mean, that's a good point what you're making. We've got Mert, who's a Turk. We've got Orkun, obviously, is going to be starting as a Turk. We've got Emirhan, who's going to make plenty of appearances as a Turk. And now, potentially, if Taylan is good enough to take that step from the second Bundesliga to now the Super League and the Conference League, if he's at that level, which hopefully if we're gonna end up paying 5-6 million euros for him, he's gonna be. I mean, he has to be, right? If you're paying that type of money for him. But obviously we don't know what the transfer fee is gonna be, but I assume it's gonna be in that range because he has previously been linked to Bundesliga clubs for a price tag in that range. And given the fact that this seemingly has gone quite quickly, at least, I mean, this could have been in the works for a week or two already, right? Or even a month, we don't know. But now the news is breaking.
These are the ones you like, right?
Sabunjolo, Murat Özen, Fabrizio Romano now all reporting it at the same time.
Dodged the fucking turds. That's what you need to do.
Like it's already a done deal. So either this went really quickly, or it's been in the works for a while. And like you said, you would imagine Edouard Graaf, who worked previously for Dortmund for many, many years, has a hand in this. Obviously, Dortmund and Schalke are regional rivals, so he will undoubtedly have scouted him or had other people scout him in the past as when he was chief scout at Dortmund. So you'd imagine that's that type of transfer. And if he's ready, that's a great get, right? Because that's somebody that's not just short-term, but long-term as well, right? And
real long term. And talk about like resale value, and I mean, it checks off all the boxes.
And it also kind of covers you for when inevitably the Turkish Football Federation decides to change the foreign limit again and
exactly
puts it back to 8 foreigners or 6 foreigners or something for 1 or 2 years, so everyone can be completely screwed. So that covers you in that regard as well. And personally, I much rather us sign someone like this who comes out of 2 good academies with Bayer Leverkusen and Schalke, who have really great track records in producing talent. I much rather invest money in a player like that, who is already a starter at 19 years old for a club like Schalke 04, than in somebody, with all due respect for Taha Şahin. And Taha Şahin, undoubtedly great season last season for Rizespor, and he looks like a player. But how many times have we seen a player that looks so good when he plays for an Anatolian team, and then he comes to us and it's like, what is this?
What happened here?
How did
I could name a previous right back, for example, who has just left. And he, by the way, Onur Bulut, special honor. I mentioned he scored an own goal against Viking FK, which gave them a draw against Başakşehir. Somebody else's problem now.
But the thing there is, like, nobody cares though, because Başakşehir doesn't have fans.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no crisis there now because they drew a game against Viking. They are true to the next round. That's all they care about. And then obviously the standards, the bar is much higher at a club like Beşiktaş, and that's the difference, right, between a club like Beşiktaş and a club like Başakşehir. The pressures, the bar is much higher, all that kind of stuff. But Taylan, Bulut, if you know him, guys, if you watched the second Bundesliga, I'll of course be trying to find an expert to talk to about him. I'm still actually trying to get in touch with somebody to talk to make a video on Ndidi as well. So I got a lot of work on my plate in the next week. Hopefully an Ndidi video, a Lausanne video, now a Taylan Bulut video. My God, a lot of work for me.
And we might get a left winger too, right?
Let's hope. Let's hope so. So shall we get into the winger talk then, guys? Because there's not much we can add to Taylan Bulut, right? Like, it's
one thing I'd like to add about Taylan Bulut, because what you didn't talk about much in depth is the situation Schalke's in. There was actually, I'll just refer you guys. There's I forget the name of the podcast, but Pablo Torre does a really good kind of like where politics and sports intersect type of podcast. And he talks in depth about Schalke and their situation where like Gazprom kind of fucked them. But people often talk about how you want to have this foreign investor who's going to come in and buy your club and do. And if anything, Schalke is like a perfect example of how that goes awry and why that's not a good idea. And on top of that, the reason it's sort of relevant to us in Thailand is that apparently they've sort of ousted that whole situation, gotten rid of Gazprom, and they're on a good rebuild now. Like they're finally on the up and up. And the reason that's good is because it means that he's been a part of that rebuild, and that's probably why he was getting significant playing time for them. But so if anything, it's a good sign that he's coming from a team that's really put the onus on developing talent and playing young guys and sort of unearth gems because of their financial situation. So this is, it's very promising. That's all I can say. Obviously, knock on wood, you hope for the best, but
yeah, it seems to be the right profile for sure, man. I've had a look at what type of player he is. Well, from what I've read anyway, he seems to be more of a defensive fullback, and I think if Jurasek is going to be the left back, who's obviously a very attacking fullback, you need to have and especially in this 4-2-3-1 formation with Rafa as the number 10, it's going to have to be one of the fullbacks. In the case with Jurasek at left back, it'll need to be the right back that kind of forms a back three in possession, because if you get the number 6, let's say Ndidi, to do that, Orkun would be left isolated in the middle. So I think on paper it seems to be the right sign. I've looked at his numbers. His stats, his advanced stats don't look great, but there's clearly a reason why he's so highly rated. And stats, as we know, don't show everything. And one thing that I'd say the stats definitely do show is that he's got a very high passing accuracy, which I think is important, because I think coming out the back, that's something we could always do more of.
Yeah,
for sure.
And you do wonder how prolific he is going forward, though, because we talked about this, of course, with Svensson, where that is probably one of his biggest deficiencies, despite the fact that he's now got 2 assists in 2 games against St. Patrick's. We have to give him his props as well. But, it is an important aspect, and that is something that we're going to have to see, once he starts playing games, because that's going to be important as well. It's not because you're not the main attacking fullback in a lineup that you don't have to be able to contribute offensively. Obviously you do. I do hope that his offensive game is at least up to snuff to a certain extent,
Yes. I mean, there's a big reason why I was talking about Nordi Mukiele, who does have some injury problems, but the reason why I was interested in potentially bringing him in, and it wasn't as if there was links. It wasn't as if there was links about him, but it's just I've done some research, and he's a right back that can also play in a back three and tuck in and be a centre back, but also is very good as a wing back as well and has good passing. So he could do everything. So obviously he's a high profile player, and they would have been on a big salary if we were to bring him in. So potentially Taylan Bulut could maybe be that on a lesser scale just now, and then could develop into something like that. Who knows? He is said to be very athletic as well, which is important for modern fullbacks. So his end product, I did get AI to do a scout report on him, which obviously you don't take anything AI produces as gospel, but it can be a good guide for the most part, not always. It does kind of say that his final product's a bit limited, so we just need to watch him playing and see how he is.
Yeah, and of course,
if anything, you set him back and play him in a more defensive role anyway, right? Maybe that's not so important.
Well, I mean,
as long as we have someone on the right side who can do something. Hint, hint.
But at the end of the day, you need to take into consideration as well that he's only 19 years old, so he'll have time to hone.
Brighter days ahead.
He'll have time to hone that aspect of his game. All right, let's switch to winger talk then, because of course it's great if we are actually able to bring in Taylan Bulut, and I always want to say Antalyalı. Hopefully that's something.
Yeah, I know. You'll get rid of that.
I'll get rid of, I hope. But
they'll be the new Taylan.
There's one thing. There's a major development, at least it looks like, on the Jadon Sancho front, but unfortunately not in a positive way so far. Let's have a look here from this report earlier today from Fabrizio Romano about Jadon Sancho. Oops. Wait, that's the wrong one. Let me see. Yeah. Why is it not showing that one?
Uh-oh. Is it hidden behind that one?
I mean, maybe it's because... Oh, I know why it is.
The layering.
No, I know why it is. It's because of... Because I did the wrong source. It doesn't matter. I'll just get this source in, but I'll have to change that. That's inconvenient. But so Fabrizio Romano was reporting... that Jadon Sancho is actually on the radar for AS Roma, and AS Roma have in fact already made an offer for Jadon Sancho. Apparently, they've made an offer in the range of £20 million, but they're also open to a potential loan. And here it is, by the way. Here's that tweet. So that is bad news for those of us who are keen on Jadon Sancho, but also perhaps good news because that would, if at least this goes somewhere, would potentially free us up to start focusing on other targets. So Jadon Sancho...
Well, there's another side too, right? The Leon Bailey thing. Cause
yes.
We had supposedly lost out to Roma on Leon Bailey. So if they end up getting him instead...
Well, Romano is saying that Roma are continuing to push for both. But you would imagine that once they have the green light on one of them, they'll probably drop out of the race for the other one. And interesting that you say that, because actually Leon Bailey, there was a report earlier from Sky Germany. I forgot what the reporter's name is, but I think it's Florian something. Yeah, I couldn't find the original tweet, unfortunately. And I couldn't find it back. I should have saved it. But I do have the reference to it, I'll put it that way. So let's have a look here at the report. So they are reporting that Beşiktaş have stepped up their efforts for Leon Bailey from Aston Villa. But of course, like mentioned, he is still also very much on AS Roma's list. So it looks like we're competing again with AS Roma for players. Remember last season, both Mats Hummels and Mario Hermoso ended up going to AS Roma when we were in for both of them. And now they are again fishing in the same pool of water as we are. So Jadon Sancho, let's start there. I mean, obviously Beşiktaş fans are extremely excited about the prospect of him potentially wearing our shirt. 5.5 million Instagram comments on his latest Instagram post. He isn't completely against a move to Turkey. He is just in a position right now where he is still giving preference to a top 5 league move. And it's been reported quite widely that should a move to the top 5 leagues not materialize for him towards the end of the window, then Turkey could become an option, and then Beşiktaş could become an option. Of course, Beşiktaş don't really have the luxury to wait. We are in such an acute need of a left winger that we can't afford to wait for Jadon Sancho to make up his mind. Even though, personally, I think Sancho would be a really, really good signing. I think he'd be fantastic. And I know, if you're a Man United fan, you might think otherwise, but if you look at his recent loan spells at Dortmund, his 6 months at Dortmund and his year at Chelsea, he did quite well at both. I still think he's 25 years old. I think there's a lot there. I see a lot of resemblances with Quaresma when he first came. I think he could be this generation's Ricardo Quaresma for, what for us was Quaresma. I think for the new generation of fans that are currently teenagers and stuff like that, I think Jadon Sancho could be their Quaresma. But, at the moment, obviously, he isn't super warm to come to Turkey. And that's understandable, right? He's 25 years old. There's still plenty of interest from Juventus, from Roma, from other clubs. Dortmund are still are being linked, Atletico Madrid. On the other hand, I do have to say Fabrizio Romano is he is the foremost source on worldwide transfer news. We cannot deny that, I think. But he is also a very notorious workhorse for the agents. So it would not surprise me if this sudden development for Sancho, because the reports like yesterday and the day before were still very much Roma can't afford Sancho and are hoping that the demands for him, both from United and from Sancho personally, will lower towards the end of the window, and they were going to take a waiting approach. And knowing what we know of Roma's financial situation, given the fact that we just signed Tammy Abraham from them for only 15 million euros, whereas they paid 40 million 2 years ago, knowing what we know of their financial situation and the reason they had to sell Tammy and all that kind of stuff, I have my doubts whether or not Sancho will end up there. Even though Romano is kind of pushing it as close to being done right now, I don't think this is over yet. I think this saga is going to continue a little bit longer. That's not necessarily a positive thing, however, because like I said, we don't have time to waste. And even though Sancho is somebody I'd love to see in a Beşiktaş jersey, we don't have the luxury to wait until the 31st of August. Is it 30? Until the end of August, I'll put it that way, or until the 1st of September. I don't think we have that luxury. And I spoke about it in my reaction video to Celada's press conference on Monday, because a lot of that was also revolving around Sancho. I think like the last 15 or so minutes, and I'm talking about Sancho and the possibility of us still signing him towards the end of the window. And I even alluded to it there that I think if we wait, there's a good chance that we sign him, as long as Juventus or, Roma or whatever, if they don't, decide to match the wages or whatever. But I don't think we should wait, even though he's a player I'd love to see in the jersey. I don't know how you guys feel about it. Sinan, do you think he's somebody we should wait for?
What I think you could theoretically do, you might get a player who's a really solid right winger, but who has that flexibility to play on the left side, and play them on the left until that last minute. And then if, Jadon Sancho doesn't come through, then you sort of do a last minute diversion and get another winger, ideally. And that would be possible in that, it would only be possible, rather, if you could get a fairly affordable option as a right wing, right? Because you'd want to be able to spend quite a bit if Sancho does become available. So that's a question. Perhaps the Czerny thing didn't pan out because I think that would have required another 8 to 10 million or something along those lines. So I don't know what you could really find that would sate that demand. That would hold you over, that would satisfy us until the Sancho thing, could pan out. But if there is an option like that, that's where you want to go, and perhaps that's where Graf gets creative, somehow. Yeah. I guess you don't want to get too creative though, right? Because it can't be too much of a project, or we have another Kenny situation. So they're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. As long as they're holding out for Sancho.
Yeah, I think it's time to shit or get off the toilet, and they need to.
Yeah, that's probably where you are.
They need to transfer a winger, man. Cathal, remind me, were you a proponent of getting Sancho? I don't remember.
If they can cash the checks, man, yeah. I was saying if they can afford it and they've costed it properly and they can pay the wages and not have any issues, I'm all for it.
Let's say we can. At the same time, would you wait for him? Because
no, I'd rather get the business done. See if they said to me, "Oh, you can get Sancho on the 1st of September, or you could have signed Czerny and Davidashvili in July." I would have picked signing Czerny and Davidashvili in July. I think it's better to get the right profiles in a timely manner than it is to hold out for something that you don't know is going to happen.
Yeah, plus not to mention that, of course, the financial implications of the Sancho move. We talk about his age and all that, which is great. 25 is great. But realistically, unless he completely explodes again, and even if he does completely explode, I think the only option there is really is Saudi Arabia for him. Because at the wages that he's making, I don't think a top club is ever gonna take a punt on him again. Obviously at Man United it was a massive flop. At Chelsea he was good, but not good enough to justify £300,000 a week. So if he comes to us and we somehow manage to match that wage, or maybe it's again something I talked about in my video. Apparently he is in his final year of his contract. I could perfectly see us paying like a 15 million transfer fee or a 20 million transfer fee, but United continue to pay half of his wages. And the reason for that is because that becomes interesting for financial fair play, because that opens up 20 million budget on their books to bring in a new player, because the way that financial fair play and the way that the bookkeeping handles it, the wages and the transfer budgets are different, are separate. So if they can get a 20 million transfer fee in for him, but still pay like half his wages, which he's on 70 million pounds a year or something like that. But let's say they pay like half the net wages, so they pay like 9 million pounds, and we pay the remaining 4.5 million net. You know, I could see something like that happen, and then us paying him like 6 or 7 million next year and the year after and the year after if we end up signing him permanently. But if you get somebody like, you know, Davitashvili or something, you know, obviously you're talking very different numbers. Okay, maybe you have to pay a similar transfer fee, like 50 million euros or something, but you're not going to be paying that guy, you know, 6-7 million a year. Like, it's probably 2.5 or something like that, you know. And there you have, okay, if this guy explodes, there's always sell-on value there. I think for Sancho, despite the fact that he's 25, sell-on value isn't highly likely. Because of, you know, just the fact that he's going to be a top earner, and in Europe it's unlikely that somebody's going to be willing to, not that they won't be willing to take a punt on him if he does well. Obviously they will. I mean, look at Juventus and Dortmund and Atletico and Roma. They all want him right now, but they don't want him for that money, right? So yeah, he's interesting for us for the long run, I think, to stay. Not necessarily to, you know, have for 2 seasons and then sell or something like that. Whereas with somebody like you mentioned, Kata, like that becomes more prudent. Let us know as well, by the way, guys, if you're watching on delay, let us know in the comments or in the live chat right now if you would wait for Sancho a little bit longer to see what happens with his proposed move to Roma. Personally, I think it might be an agent play. To stir interest, to kick other clubs into action, because I can't imagine that Roma are going to pay a 20 million pound fee, which is nearly 23 million euros, plus cover those wages, because they have very similar taxation as Great Britain. So they're gonna end up paying him like 17 million euros or something to cover those wages. I don't see Roma do that, but who knows? Let us know in the comments if you'd wait a little bit longer and see, and maybe push for Sancho. Or let's talk about the other one. Sky Germany reports that we are increasing our efforts for Leon Bailey. Yeah, another player that we've talked about last week already a little bit, but how do you guys feel about us perhaps stepping up our efforts for him? Let's start with you, Cartel.
I mean, I'm not as... I'd rather Sancho to Bailey. I know one's a left winger and one's a right winger, but he's only had a couple of good seasons in his career.
2 really,
and
really
he's a
good
bit
ones,
older
right?
as well.
Yeah, he's 20. He's 28, I think. He's 28 already, I think.
Yeah. So he had the 23-24 season for Aston Villa was good, and then he had a really good 20-21 season for Leverkusen. But other than that, he's not really had a lot of very, very good seasons in his career, and the fact that he's 28. So and considering the amount he's going to cost, I'm not too keen on it, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they're also talking 20-odd million for him, and like you said, he's a right winger. So I mean, that also explains, of course, why Roma are perhaps in for both of them, right? And why we are maybe in for both of them. But it is quite interesting, because if we are stepping up our efforts for Bailey, that would indicate we're going for another winger, right? Like another left winger at least, you would imagine. So then maybe it becomes interesting. I don't know if you want to have anything to add for Bailey. Bailey? I don't know. He's Jamaican, so I guess it's Bailey. Do you want to add anything on that, Sinan?
Bailey. Not really. I mean, the one thing I will say is that the fans of his current club are suggesting that they should not sell him now because they'd be selling low, which means they think that he has a lot more in his bag than he showed last season. and that they feel like they could get a lot more out of him before selling him, and then in turn, earn more. So I mean, that's sort of positive in a sense, that they're not willing to let him go. You kind of want that when you're bringing someone in.
No.
But beyond that, yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you guys have said. He's a little older, a little more injury prone. I don't know.
And there's another thing I want to mention here. So TT No Face has said that Bailey is a better fit, in my opinion. He's left-footed.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think, see if the right back profile was going to tuck into form a back three, I think that the right winger should be a right winger that uses the line, more like a Quaresma type. So I think it'd be, in that situation, be better if the right winger was right-footed. Because we need them to have the width on the park. Because maybe if we have a left-footed right winger like Gazelle, who's looking to cut in all the time, then we won't properly use the width on that right-hand side. If the right back's going to be tucking into for a back three possession.
Gazelle did use the width quite well, but of course we had a good overlapping back, but he just, cut in and had those really dangerous in-swinging crosses, which can be equal. Which are, in fact, I personally think in-swinging crosses are harder to defend than an out-swinging cross. But
I agree. I mean, I've been on the record before saying that I think 4-3-3 with a 6 and 2 8s, because I know when I just say 4-3-3, he doesn't like it. He wants me to specify 6 and 2 8s. Yeah, I think that'd be the better way to go, because then you could do what we done in the last championship season when the number 6 went between the centre backs, and then actually both full backs could push up, and then that allowed Lauren and Gazelle to kind of tuck in.
Yeah.
Obviously, that Gazelle cut in and crossed on his left, and then if he didn't do that, he always had Rosier on the overlapping run. I think that's probably a better approach in modern football. But I think it's clear that we're going to play 4-2-3-1, and with Jurasek being the left back, I think the right back should then form the back three in possession, and then if that's going to be the case, I think a right-footed winger that's going to use the line would be a better fit. Rather than cut in and cross.
Yeah.
And just to answer TT No Face's question, he says, I agree, but where can we find a guy in Q7's caliber? I don't think Cartel's saying he has to necessarily be Q7's caliber. Because the profile of being a guy who can play on the right side, on the right flank, and put in a good cross. So he doesn't.
Yeah, go to the last side and cross. Yeah. Well, look, I honestly think, if we get Sancho, possibly, but I don't think it's very likely that we see another Quaresma or Beşiktaş.
No, I don't think so either. Even, like I said, I think he could be this new generation's Quaresma, but that doesn't mean he's gonna be as good, right? Like that doesn't there's only ever gonna be one Quaresma, and he's gonna be. When I say this generation's Quaresma, he's gonna be this generation's Sancho. He can become something because he has the talent. He could become special. That's what I'm trying to say. And I think it's been a long time. Rafa is a very special player, but he's very special, but he's not Quaresma. He's not Sergen. Those two players, I think, they have the category of their own.
Yeah.
I think when we talk about strikers, I think we have the Mario Gomez. There's,
Yeah.
Are we ever gonna?
Quaresma had personality as well, like Rafa, but it seems very dry, man. Doesn't seem like he's got much of a personality.
Dry. I don't know if I'd say that, but Quaresma was obviously very fiery, very. Very,
maybe not as much of a leader. I would agree, he's not as much of a leader.
Yeah. I wouldn't say Quaresma was necessarily a leader, honestly. I think he led by example.
That's
he was
true.
a winner, but he could let his team down quite a lot, and I think leaders don't do that, honestly.
Con, do you want to address this? Sancho, Grey Wolf says Sancho, his heart would not be 100% committed.
That's a possibility. That's a possibility. You would have to hope for the magic of the fans, right? And we've talked about our fans very often. We criticize our fan base for the toxicity and all that kind of stuff, but they're also a fan base that can make a player feel really, really appreciated and really, really loved. And I think certain personalities latch on to that, and it feeds them and it makes them better. I think Quaresma was someone like that. I think Pascal Nouma obviously was someone like that. I don't know Sancho well enough, maybe to say whether he is or he isn't. So that would have to remain to be seen. But I think if you can spark that in him, that you have a very special player. But I mean, obviously the chances of us signing him aren't the greatest right now, especially with the supposed move to Roma heating up. Leon Bailey, is a good player. He was really good at Genk. He was a big talent there. He did well at Leverkusen. But like Carty said, he has like these 2 really good seasons in his career, and then he has a lot of, he was always a good player, but it's not always coming out, and it's not always it doesn't always translate to productivity. And when we talk about productivity, I think the next man we should probably talk about, because his proposed move to Fenerbahce has, for the moment at least, collapsed. Kerem Aktürkoglu, somebody who we have been talking about a lot earlier in the summer, especially when we were in talks with Benfica over Aktürkoglu's transfer. Also, it was suggested at the time that we would go in for Kerem. Fener had apparently submitted an offer of 22.5 million plus 2.5 million in add-ons. However, today, for some inexplicable reason, they retracted their offer and they lowered it to 17.5. Benfica, of course, immediately wiped that off the table. So it looks like, for the moment at least, Kerem's move to Fenerbahce, which looked all but done, is cancelled. And maybe they will renew their interest in the next coming days. Maybe they'll renew their interest after their clash in the Champions League playoffs. We don't know, because obviously they'll play each other there. But that, of course, opens the possibility up to Beşiktaş to go in for Kerem, perhaps. Personally, I don't think Kerem is a player you pay 25 million for. I think he's a really good player. He's Turkish, obviously. He's a guarantee for productivity. He'll get you 20-25 goal contributions in the season pretty consistently in his career, unlike Leon Bailey. He's 26, he'll be 27 in December. Personally, I don't think he's worth 25 million. I don't know how you guys feel about it. Sinan, let's start with you. We are desperate for a left winger right now. Would you pull that trigger and say, okay, you know what, let's put in a 20 plus million offer for Kerem Aktürkoglu?
I mean, he has the added bonus of being a Turk, right? So he offers that. Although if we're going to bring in a Turk as our starting right back, that's almost overkill. I mean, it's never.
I think it's never. Right? It's never a bad thing.
I'm exaggerating. Yeah, I'm exaggerating. But I mean, it's not like a necessity by any stretch. And I think the cost is a lot. There's the question. I mean, I feel like we're kind of viewing him with rose-colored glasses, in part because he did play really well for Benfica last season. But like, it's important to remember how desperate Galatasaray fans were to offload him not that long ago. In part, that's their own, perhaps like
his relationship with the Galatasaray fandom is, I always found, extremely similar to their relationship with Burak Yilmaz, where I feel like they never really appreciated what they had in those two players. And I'm not I don't like Kerem for different reasons. But a Galatasaray fan does not mind a player that bitches, moans, complains all the time, and that dives all the time. They love that. That's what they want. It's in their DNA. Those are their core values. And they put a statement out there today because they're one of their board members is being sued. And they talked about their values. They didn't allude to what those values were, but they seemingly pointed out that they had values. And the only values I can think of when I think of Galatasaray is lying, cheating, and stealing. Kerem Aktürkoglu, those are aspects of his personality as a player that I don't like. I don't like players who dive. I don't like players who bitch, moan, and complain all the time. I think he was too much. And Burak did that a lot as well when he was at Galatasaray. But the reason Galatasaray fans are super hard on those two guys was because of the amount of chances they miss. But, how many times have I said about Rafa, like, look, this is the type of player he is. He's going to be frustrating. He's going to miss a lot of chances. He's also going to score you. He's also going to contribute to 30 goals in a season. And that's kind of the thing you have with Kerem Aktürkoglu as well. He's going to frustrate you. He's going to miss a lot of chances. But he's going to get into chances that other players aren't going to get into. He's going to create... he's going to find those spaces in behind the defense. He's going to find those gaps. And he's going to also, in the process, create space for other players. So he is very useful in different ways. And I think those talents weren't properly appreciated, both in Kerem and in Burak when they were at Galatasaray. So the relationship that the Galatasaray fans have with those two players is weird to me. But nevertheless, I think Kerem is a talented player. But it's just so much money. Paying 25 million...
To sum it up...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, paying 25 million for someone like Orkun, who's 24 going on 25, but like he's really like that's justifiable, I think. I think that is also I think that he's worth that and more. I think Orkun's a 30 to 40 million euro player easily. I don't think Kerem Aktürkoglu is a 25 million player. But
yeah, I mean the cost is. I mean, basically, I think to sum it up, he's the type of player who, if you don't get him, you don't really think too much about it, and if you do get him, you can kind of talk yourself into it pretty easily, right? So
he's an excellent football player.
Yeah, he's an excellent football player.
I would agree with that.
He's an excellent football player, but is he worth 25 million?
I think. I don't know about that, man. I mean, if you look at the numbers. Yes, but then not another. If because we know the player better, you could say maybe no because he misses a lot of chances.
You can look past the numbers and see, I mean, Rafa also misses a lot of chances, of course, but Rafa has still some other talents. Like he's technically stronger, I think.
Yeah. But I've always been a big fan of Kerem Aktürkoglu. See if we can get them down a bit low, man. I'd be all for it. I'm a big fan of the player. Always have been.
Yeah. I mean, for 17 and a half, which is supposedly Fener's renewed bid now. I mean, we have a very good relationship with Benfica, of course. I could see them being pissed at the fact that Fener dangled the carrot and then pulled out. And if we match the offer, I think they'd prefer to sell to us. So if we could get it done for that. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like with Sancho, right? Like, does it really matter the money as long as the people in charge can guarantee that we're able to pay it and that it won't damage the club? So at the end of the day, should we be talking about 25 or 15 million for Kerem Aktürkoglu? At the end of the day, I think he's a good solution for us. He's a good option. I don't necessarily know if he is. I think we need a creative winger. But and that's not Kerem. Like Kerem, okay, he's gonna get you maybe 8-10 assists if you're lucky, but he's not a creator.
He's more like a second striker as well.
Yeah.
A wing forward, but I think if you have like a Quaresma profile on the right and then Kerem on the left, that would work very well. For example, the thing about Jadon Sancho as well, he brings you that creativity from the left.
Yeah.
And he can score a lot of goals as well. Yeah. So I'd say Sancho's, from my understanding, is more creation first though. So it could be very, very, very interesting if we're to sign Sancho, because previously everyone was talking about, we'd have a wing forward on the left and a creator on the right, but Sancho coming to Besiktas could change that idea, I think.
Yeah, I think in terms of profile, Sancho is very interesting, and it all kind of depends. Like, are we gonna stop it there? Are we just gonna sign a left winger? If we are just gonna sign a left winger, then Kerem is a great player, is an excellent player, but do we have the creativity to support Kerem, to support Abraham, to support Rafa? These are all players that you need to support creatively, right? Like, they aren't necessarily the biggest creative players. Not to say that Rafa doesn't have any creativity, not to say that Kerem doesn't have any creativity. And even Abraham there's just, like Abraham in his first match, like had a couple of really nice moments, and even today, like he offered up that goal to Rafa, which the goalkeeper then saved, and ultimately it was still resulted in the equalizer. So, Tammy is able to create chances as well. But whenever I talk about creativity, I think that's something beyond creating actual chances. That creativity, true vision, is something else. That's something that's not so easily tangible. It's about seeing solutions that other players don't. I think Rafa has that more than anyone else other than Orkun. Orkun is, of course, a creative player, but I think we kind of need something like that on either wing. It doesn't matter if you get it on the left or you get it on the right, but we need one side who has that, I think. Kenny maybe potentially could be that. We don't know yet. He's not the finished article. So, yeah, I think it's a huge step, of course. If we could sign someone off like Kerem or of Kerem's caliber, it's a huge step forward for us, because at the end of the day, we're constructing a puzzle, but nobody says that puzzle has to be completed at the end of this season. It can be next season or the season after, whatever. We have to bring in building blocks, and as long as those building blocks aren't 32, 33 years old, and you can build on them for a good while in the foreseeable future, we can bring in a really good left winger now, and we can bring maybe a really good right winger next year or something, right? It's a process. You guys want to add anything about Kerem? Is there any other... I feel like there's another transfer rumor we should talk about, but I can't remember the name. It's getting really late here.
Yeah. Armand Laurienté. Maybe?
Right. Yeah, Armand Laurienté. That's another name. Cartel, we've been interested in him for a while. I know you've wanted him for a while as well. How do you feel about that? Also, the fee being talked about here is 20 million. That was the fee they agreed, I believe, with Sunderland, 17.5 million pounds before that collapsed. Yeah.
So the interesting thing about him, the guy's proven in Serie B. That's the thing about him. So the question is that going to be transferable to the Super League? And is that worth paying 20 million for?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the curious thing about him is I feel like we've been interested in him for like 2 or 3 years, because I feel like we've been getting linked with him consistently for a long time. And obviously, we looked into him a little bit at the time as well, and like he looks like a really good player and like an interesting profile, and like a really quick, hard to contain, can score goals, can assist. But like you said, like in Serie B, he has this past season 18 goals, very impressive numbers. I think he had like 10 assists as well. But in Serie A with Sassuolo, his numbers are nowhere near as stellar. They're like half. Yeah. They're half of what they were.
It's a big question mark for the money. So let's say it was a 10 million fee, you could say that's fair. But for 20 million, I think it's a bit much, to be honest, for us.
And he's also going on 20 years old. I think he's turning 27 as well. I think he's the same age as Kerem Aktürkoglu. I think he's got a late birthday in the year, and he's turning.
That's right.
27 in like December or something. So, I mean, that age is fine, but if we're gonna pay really, really big fees, like we did for Orkun, I think 20 is a really, really big fee. That would be our second highest transfer fee ever. And I think if we're gonna pay that type of money, it needs to be a player who's like, I would prefer him to be like a couple of things, like preferably a few years younger or an absolute guarantee, And I feel like with Laurienté, he could be amazing. But I think 20 million is a big, big gamble for a player that is not definitely 100% proven at the absolute highest level.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you want to add anything to that, Sino?
No, you guys covered it. I mean, I'd be fine with it at this point. Just I desperately need to see a winger join this team, but you're absolutely right that like that's probably not the move.
I agree. Are there any comments that have come in over the last half hour or so that jump out that you want to read out and address before we go finish off?
Let's see. Ray Wolf says we should open a poll for the question as to should we wait for Sancho or move on. He says either here or in the group chat, but I don't know if we can do a poll here, Huzur, so maybe we'll put it in the group chat.
You know what? I mean, let us know in the comments. For those of you watching on delay especially, I'll add a pinned comment to this. Apparently, if you add like a pinned comment to the section and you put like a question in it, people respond to it a lot more. So let us know in the comments whether or not you are on the side of wait for Sancho or shit and get off the toilet and go and get another winger and just get it done. I mean, we've got those really important games with Lausanne coming up, and quite frankly, we need a lot more firepower, I think, if we want to comfortably get past those guys. And we also need to not be complacent and arrogant and sleeping defensively. We need to be really, really focused in those games because, yes, it's a team we should on paper always beat, but in practice, it's a team that's probably in a lot better form and better momentum and a lot of youthly enthusiasm. And we saw last season how Lugano hurt us, and I know we beat them 5-1 at home, but there were moments in that tie where things could have gone differently. If momentum, if we didn't score the goal on the right moment and stuff like that, those matches could have gone in a different direction. Let's not forget we drew away there, and weren't we up like 3-1 or something? So
yeah. And then added 3-3.
If we didn't get to your comment, guys, and you have a question that you really would like answered, please, after the stream is done, just drop it in the comments, and I will 100% get back to you. If you have something like a talking point or something that you want to talk about for the next episode, if you have a good topic or anything like that, I will write it down and give you credit, and I'll talk about it in the next episode. Anyway. I would like to thank everyone for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell. To the fans of St. Patrick's that are perhaps watching this on delay, thank you for giving us two good ties, especially the second one was quite competitive. For those of you that traveled to the away game, I hope it was the time of your life. I know you didn't win, but I think you still got an amazing experience out of it. And good luck to St. Patrick's on Sunday. I know they have a very, very crucial game in the Irish Cup coming up, which is important for them to qualify for Europe next season. So good luck on Sunday to St. Patrick's. And thank you to all of you as well, of course, to our faithful Black Eagles, our Besiktas fans like us. Thank you all for watching and sticking with us on another 3-hour plus show, I think. Don't forget to scan that QR code that you see right here below, bam, right there. That QR code, take out your cell phone, scan it, come and join our WhatsApp community, which is most of the people in the comments today, most of the names you will recognize in there as well. Come and join the community there. Hit the join button on YouTube if you want to support us. Just 99 cents a month and you get a lot of extra exclusive content. Or go to patreon.com and for $1.99 a month you get even more exclusive content because there's just some stuff we can't publish on YouTube for copyright related reasons and stuff like that. So, or double down and take both for just $2.99 a month, and that really goes a long way in helping us to continue improving our product. When we have to invest in stuff like Microsoft Teams, and when we have to maybe something what I'm looking into is using AI more to perhaps start generating short clips and stuff like that. So there's all stuff that is interesting to us to continue to grow, but it costs money. So if you are wanting to support us, Patreon and a YouTube membership is the best way to do that. Thank you very much for watching. I'm going to hand the microphone over to my friend and co-host Sinan Schwarting to take us out. That's the wrong screen. You can tell I'm tired.
I was like, that happened last. Honestly, dude, I was like, I got all excited to say something. I was like, oh, I'm still on the little screen. Yeah, peace out to everyone. Stay tuned for more. We'll be back again on probably Monday. Obviously, our first league match of the season is upcoming against Eyüpspor. We get to start the season at home since that first game was pushed back against Kayseri. So that's kind of fun.
And by the way, the
the
next game is also being postponed. By the way, Sinan, the game.
Yeah, against Konya. So our first two matches are going to be at home. How do you like that?
No, actually, the Konya game was a home game, I think.
Oh, was that? So we already had two matches.
I think so. So the Konya game is getting postponed. So we'll have Eyüp on Sunday. Then we'll have Lausanne twice, and then and then the next home game against, I don't know who it is, but I can actually check that. But
I'm a little surprised that they're so hesitant to have us play twice a week because it's gonna catch up eventually. But whatever, it is what it is.
This request was submitted by Beşiktaş or Samsun or something, and if they do it for one team, they have to do it for everyone.
They got to do it for everyone, yeah. Which, to be fair, they're less deep squads over there too. So with these qualifiers, they really have to put it all on the line. No, okay, fair enough. But so definitely stay tuned. We will be back after the Eyüp match, probably again, like I said, on Monday. The match is on Sunday, however, 2:30 p.m. here in New York. So check your local listings. That means it should be on at 9:30 in Istanbul, which
8:30 Central
your kids in early.
European time, and 7.
Tuck your kids in.
7:30 for Carty, I believe. Right, Carty?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But make sure you finish your dinner early or whatever it might be. That's gonna be fun. We'll be back to talk about that. Hopefully to celebrate, but that's always the hope.
Let's hope so, because that silk thread that Ole is hanging on at the moment
is, which is like unnecessarily silky, but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
But stay tuned for that. It should be a lot of fun, obviously, and obviously we'll all be checking in to watch the match. So why not relive it with us on Monday? So with that said, it is vital that I mention something, which I always do at the end of every episode. Let's go Besiktas! Peace out, everybody! We're through to the playoff round! Fuck you! No, I'm kidding, actually. Massive respect to Ireland. Orkan! Mr. No Comment, Dan Zabowski! Nathan! Not a vote Davis, or Nasty Nathan. I forgot the nickname I gave him. Anyway, finish! Not the Swedish kebab! Tristan Perky Gray! Michael Berry! Umer! Mr. Positive! Unal! Ooh, a new name! Taifur Yailagu! How about that? Sarper! Dara Hensi, the Irishman! Mario, 1 and a 2 and a 3 Vargas! The Al Tariq! Sebastian! The Nat Sporting Director Heine! Daredevil, the Vigilante Turk! Mr. Nasty Naz, Nasser Manu / Beşiktaş, and of course, the indomitable, the indubitable, the indefatigable, the financier, the Dutch Eagle. Peace out, everybody!